Chapter 284 Whipped. Chapter 284 Whipped. Ever since Chu Qingqing got Huangpu Qingtian's challenge, her team didn't move from their spot, standing right next to the wood exit stone in the lush forest. Only the men under them were running to and fro in search of Zhuo Fan. But even after 9 days, none that returned was bearer of any good news. This only worked to sink their moods even lower, not knowing when they could turn this humiliation around. It couldn't go on for much longer or their morale would collapse. There was no point by then to drag this esoteric debate out, and going back home would be most advisable. Everyone sighed. Who knew the esoteric debate would be so cruel to them, to put their entire hopes on just one man? The audience beyond the national elemental stone were looking quite eager. Be it Drifting Flowers Edifices or Regent Estate, each hoped to see Huangpu Qingtian and Zhuo Fan duke it out, to see who was the real victor in this final battle. The wood stone exit is up ahead. Yeah, Edifice Lord Chu is waiting there with the others. A familiar voice entered their ears. Their eyes lit up and were thrilled to see the Dong siblings leading Zhuo Fan over. Even Luo Yunhai, Xuaningxiang and many others were there as well. They were ecstatic as they surrounded them in an instant. Xie Tianyang was thrilled as well in his laughter. "Ha, you're finally here. It's good that you are all right." "Haha, that's how brothers that went through hell acts, happy to see each other. I am so happy I didn't cross thousands of miles in vain. Have no fear. Now that I'm here, I'll make it all better. See how your brother will show you his power and swag." Zhuo Fan smiled and opened his arms as he walked to Xie Tianyang. Only to have his hand flicked away as the guy made a beeline for Xuaningxiang and her brothers. "Ninger, ever since we separated from the teleportation, I searched heaven and earth to find you. I was worried sick. I'm so relieved you're okay." Xie Tianyang eased a breath that didn't know he was holding. Zhuo Fan's face twitched and snapped his cold eyes on the guy. "Xie Tianyang, you didn't even care what might have happened to your dear brother? You a monster? I only care about myself, not you," snorted Xie Tianyang. The others laughed at their antics. Zhuo Fan was royally pissed though, wishing nothing more than to kick him where the sun didn't shine. "The least you can do is fake it, prick. Is this how a brother acts nowadays? You damn bastard clearly don't know the meaning of brothers before women." Dong Qianba saw Zhuo Fan sulking and was reminded of Song Yu. "Haha, brother Zhuo, do you remember our chat in Drifting Flower City? This is the kind of animal a man is. You're just the same, so try to understand." Glaring at him, Zhuo Fan didn't speak his irritation. "I'm not some pit pony like you guys. I'm not one to just throw my heart to any woman I see." Dong Qianba laughed, knowing exactly what he was thinking. "Sometimes not even you know your true self." Dong Qianba turned to Chu Qingqing and bowed. "Edifice Lord Chu, I have found Zhuo Fan." Nodding, Chu Qingqing's eyes never left Zhuo Fan. She walked over with a cold stare. Zhuo Fan felt killing intent smacking into him and saw her approaching with an icy stare. Shivering for some odd reason, Zhuo Fan even felt fear, but he kept his poker face up. "Do you know why we looked for you?" Chu Qingqing's tone was flat. Zhuo Fan nodded stiffly. Yeah. "Then what are you staring at? Go already. It's high time you did your part as an ally and get to work." Chu Qingqing's pitiless stare bore into him. It was so cold it chilled even him. Zhuo Fan didn't reply and simply took flight. He sighed inside. After what happened in Dragon Cloud City, Chu Qingqing must be hating my guts. It's better this way. We are only allies, nothing more. A demonic emperor like him was better off casting such burdens off his shoulders as soon as possible. Zhuo Fan's eyes snapped into focus, vanishing from their sights as he increased his speed. Chu Qingqing watched him leave with clear anger on her face. "He won't even greet me?" Xiao Dandan skipped over and said shyly, Sister Qingqing, aren't you perhaps too hard on darling?" "What too hard? Nothing good comes out of working with a stone-cold man like him. And you stop calling him darling left and right. He doesn't deserve to be called that by any woman." Chu Qingqing turned her rage on her and glared. Xiao Dandan jerked in fright. It was the first time she saw the proud Chu Qingqing flaring like that. Then a chuckle came. "Ninger, you've been surrounded by an army of 1,000 people, are you hurt anywhere?" Xuaningxiang showed his worry after having heard what happened to her. Xuaningxiang brushed his worry off. "I'm fine. Big Brother Zhuo dropped by and saved us. He even ruined Lin Xuanfeng's hand. With Big Brother Zhuo around, nothing can touch us." The rest of the newcomers nodded. They wouldn't soon forget how safe they were with Zhuo Fan around. Xie Tianyang's mood soured. "That prick is awesome and all but rotten to the core. How can you stand it?" Big brother Zhua is the picture of modesty. Although there are those he has to give a tongue lashing to, but he gets over his anger quite fast. We've all been having a wonderful time around him so far. Xuaningxiang blinked her delusion-filled eyes. What was worse, the others nodded as well. They had been having such a nice stroll through Beast King Mountain over the days that even if they met a 6th-level spiritual beast, they'd even point it out to their sons to observe. They were so carefree they turned oblivious to the dangers. This would most likely be the only time they ever felt like this. Since the next time they'd come here and meet a spiritual beast, they'd end up as its dinner. To sum it up, it was all by Zhuo Fan's grace that they were so carefree. Xie Tianyang saw the worship in their eyes, the glitter in Xuaningxiang's, and cursed inside. Isn't this all on you? With that punk's lousy temper, he'd never waste time with this bunch. Luo Yunhai smiled, gratified Ninger was there with them. It only stoked Chu Qingqing's range though. How can he smile to others but be so damn cold to me? Dong Qianba noticed and laughed dryly. Edifice Lord Chu, I have something to say, but it may be inappropriate. Get on with it. Chu Qingqing snapped. Dong Qianba said awkwardly, Edifice Lord Chu, you also know of my past dealings. Of wandering from flower to flower, leaving not even the leaves. He trailed off. Chu Qingqing's glare scared him back on track as he explained, Edifice Lord Chu, don't misunderstand, that is all in the past. Now I turned a new leaf, becoming a bastion of nobility and dignity. Then why mention it? Chu Qingqing's icy glare bore into Dong Qianba's confidence. Dong Qianba sweated in fear, Edifice Lord Chu, I just want to say that I may not have achievements and I'm still ignorant in many aspects, but when it comes to romance I am unrivaled. The way I see it, Brother Zhuo may be swarmed by lilies, yet only 3 ever caught his eye. And he isn't even aware of it. Oh? Chu Qingqing perked an eyebrow, go on? Wiping his brow, Dong Qianba said, with my uncanny eyes, I noticed them being Luo Yunchang, Xuaningxiang, and you, Edifice Lord Chu. Other women he never cared about, my sister begrudgingly included. Why am I the last? Chu Qingqing's mood shifted on the spot, blaming him. Drifting Flowers edifices sweated harder. Ah, hell has no fury as a woman scorned. A woman wasn't even amenable to take this list of names if she wasn't first. And Edifice Lord Chu was no ordinary woman either, but the leader of Drifting Flowers edifices. But he still smiled, Edifice Lord Chu T, this is unrelated to your place in his heart. He only has feelings for you 3. Please don't take it the wrong way. Raising an eyebrow, Chu Qingqing nodded. Swallowing dryly, Dong Qianba turned serious. Brother Zhuo feels responsible for Luo clan's miss, showing the consideration of a kin. As for having developed into something more, I'm unsure. Chu Qingqing nodded. Zhuo Fan always carried himself with a cold and indifferent air, but he was always good to the Luo clan. He was indeed taking it upon himself when it came to the clan's future. Dong Qianba then glanced at the cheerful Xuaningxiang. As for young Miss Xue, she is innocent and naive, a rarity in this world. Brother Zhuo sees her as his little sister, although hard to say if there's anything more between them. Chu Qingqing looked with a lost gaze as a smile crept her lips. She was such an innocent child that even women like her would pity the lass, not to mention some rotten men. Dong Qianba then came to the crux of it all and said fearfully, while Edifice Lord Chu is a woman of character, lofty and refined, deserving of the title Ascending Ice Phoenix. But Brother Zhuo thinks of you as... What? Chu Qingqing asked impatiently. Dong Qianba gnashed his teeth, henpecking him. Chu Qingqing blushed and a sweet and gooey/sappy happiness infected her heart. Isn't that being whipped under the wife's thumb? That makes me the closest among the 3 in his heart. Chapter 285, Demonic Dragon's Advent. Chapter 285, Demonic Dragon's Advent. Shoo, shoo, shoo. 3 outbursts disturbed Zhuo Fan's smooth sailing. It got so bad that he almost took an unscheduled dive. This had gone beyond mere cursing, they wanted to skin him alive. Who the hell hates me so much? Is it Chu Qingqing? Has her fury outmatched hell's? Shuddering to his very core, Zhuo Fan shook the thought away. He was oblivious that it was totally unrelated to Chu Qingqing, but instead the person responsible was his buddy brother. In fact, his intention was no different than flaying Zhuo Fan. Thank God he had no clue what Dong Qianba said or he'd panic. This guy barely has any talent, yet makes for quite a love doctor. How is it that you know who my heart longs for before even I do? Though he had to admire him for such skill, even when Dong Qianba only skirted the waters and never actually dipped. Zhuo Fan kept on flying in confusion. He soon arrived at his destination and released his discerning field. Zhuo Fan's eyes lit up in joy. Huangpu Qingtian, the biggest headache, wasn't there. It couldn't be better. He'd go in there and remove the pests first, since if they laid a trap they would harass him to no end. That wouldn't do at all. He now recalled Luo Yunhai's warning. Huangpu Qingtian and company had something special in mind just for him. Lin Xianfeng let it slip when he lost his cool, and Zhuo Fan doubted he was so smart as to make it intentionally misleading. Zhuo Fan took it to heart as well. He may have divine eye of the void as his ace in getting out of almost any situation, but he wasn't about to take unnecessary risks. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall. Zhuo Fan made sure to never make such an elementary mistake as letting power get to his head. Zhuo Fan's figure flashed and thunder struck the earth the next second, picking up dust. People turned to look in fright. With only weak third and second-rate clan members around, this loud and out-of-the-blue noise had them on edge. But when the dust settled, they gasped. Soaring demonic dragon Zhuo Fan. With a twisted grin, Zhuo Fan's eyes glanced over his future victims. I have come as requested for the brimming sacred pill. Where is Huangpu Qingtian? Eldest young master waited for days, so he took young master Yu and young master Yen in search of the other four. Sir, why not wait for them? An honest-to-God man, naive perhaps, spoke up fearlessly. This set Zhuo Fan's worries at ease. His grin grew wider. Am I to understand you stood me up? No, never. It's you? I am quite angry right now, and the consequences are deadly. Zhuo Fan cut him off with his bloodthirsty gaze. Now, who do you think I should kill first? They all felt like crying. You clearly had this idea from the start. But, how does this have anything to do with us? Huangpu Qingtian issued the challenge, not us. You didn't just miss the due date, but also saying that we stood you up. That's clearly bullshit. We're just the little guys. Why take it out on us? Think we're easy targets, is that it? Fear swept their hearts as they had long heard of Zhuo Fan's power. Be it the taunts he threw at the 7 houses by killing their elders, or through the slaughter of thousands on the fighting stage. Not even 6 dragons and 1 phoenix wanted to mess with him, least of all them. But then the demon came anyway. And to make matters worse, he landed just when the big boss was out on a stroll. Could they take him on? The bitter and resigned faces answered aplenty. Young Master Zhuo, we are just errand boys. It would be a great dishonor to you, sir, if you kill us. Someone spoke up with a calm voice, quite odd when one took in the fearful gazes of the rest. The rest bobbed their heads and gave him a secret thumbs up. This line was a good deterrence to most big shots, since it brought a bad taste in their mouth hearing rumors about them picking on the weak. The greater the man, the greater the deterrence. Take 6 dragons and 1 phoenix for instance. As long as one left them be, they wouldn't go out of their way to be heavy-handed on small fries. Not because of their lofty and noble characters, far from it, but because they felt it would become a stain on their pedigree. These guys were so puny, so insignificant, they weren't worth even tying a big shot's shoes, to say nothing of killing them. So, with that educated guess drawn from Zhuo Fan's reputation being equal to 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, they must be in the clear, probably. A shame they were dead wrong. The likes of Zhuo Fan only had self-interest above all else, not some useless and ephemeral thing like honor and glory. To an unscrupulous man such as him, appealing to his honor, or lack thereof, was an exercise in futility, since in all his lives he had stomped dead all who had ever tried it. Grinning from ear to ear, Zhuo Fan's cold eyes snapped on the man and a ripple swept him. His eyes lost their light and he slumped on the ground, dead. Killing with intent. The rest jumped back in abject fear. Despite the rumor mill going strong about Zhuo Fan, only after witnessing the true power of Radiant Stage had a dread set in like no other. Zhuo Fan smiled, whenever I kill, I do it on a whim. There's nothing else to it. As for my reputation and whatnot, haha, please, I am but a small steward of a poor third-rate clan. I am far beneath your illustrious names. There's no dishonor whatsoever even if I tear you all apart. It only worked to make them even more bitter. This punk is a scumbag. Since when could a bloody, rotten and vile third-rate clan's little steward mock the 7 houses and get away with it? What modesty. He's clearly showing off. Zhuo Fan picked up on their thoughts with a laugh. Yep, I'm grandstanding and I'm only killing you to relieve my boredom. The kill count doesn't matter, what matters is the entertainment. Who told you to make an enemy out of me? Ah. Bang. As if thunderstruck, their minds went out of commission. They stood there, frozen and lost, scared to even speak. God damn it all. He is a demon who escaped from hell whose sole purpose is to relieve his boredom. He is a psychopath who has no value for life. Not even those hedonistic disciples from the 7 houses were that bent on a murder spree. This guy has lost it, he's psychotic. The fear was closely working its way up to their tipping point, but Zhuofan's last words remained nonetheless. Who told you to make an enemy out of me? It couldn't be a more fitting description. They were all gripped by the fear of ending up another bloody smear on the ground, but in the back of their minds, an obsession was ingrained. None could fight Zhuofan, he was out for blood. And that was what Zhuofan aimed for all along. He may not get the respect of everyone, but he would get their fear. Humans clung to life tooth and nail. As long as they feared him, they'd never dare do anything against him. Regardless of what plot Huangpu Qingtian was cooking, if he got the help of these simps, he'd foil it when Huangpu Qingtian least expected. While also gifting these helpers of his a heart demon. And to make sure the heart demon wasn't going away anytime soon, his eyes flashed and 3 more people collapsed. They were positively despairing at this point. Ha ha, how amusing. While we wait for Huangpu Qingtian, I'll take out my boredom on you. Now who's next? Zhuofan broke into his trademark evil grin. The targets of his creepy glinting eyes shivered and crumbled from fear. But there was one who shouted, "Run." That woke them up somewhat. If they didn't flee now, they'd be toyed to death at this point. They all broke out into a frantic scramble to keep their poor lives intact. Zhuofan smiled but didn't budge. He didn't really want to kill them, not that many at least. He merely wanted to drive the fear of the devil in them. Although, to make this play of his more believable, Zhuofan took merely 2 steps and killed another 5 bone-tempering experts. The rest thought Zhuofan was on the hunt and ran like mad. With so many of them and only one of him, someone was bound to get out alive. Right? Each hoped he'd be the lucky winner. They prayed for it too, never slowing down for a second. Zhuofan cackled from behind, instilling the horrors of what was to come into their very souls. He found them almost out of his sight, but all he did was shake his head. He wasn't an addict getting his fix by killing, it was all so he could shroud them in a thick and unshakable shadow so that when the time came, they'd foil Huangpu Qingtian's big plan from the inside. Since he drove his point quite clean through, chasing them had lost its purpose. And that guy was right about one thing, Zhuofan would never care about some small fries. Smirking, Zhuofan's eyes flashed, waiting for Huangpu Qingtian. But then he heard a faint breathing. Squinting, Zhuofan flipped around and snapped, "Come out." Zhuofan moved faster than the other person and grabbed at the target's hiding place. But what he saw left him speechless. Chapter 286, I'll send you to hell together. Chapter 286, I'll send you to hell together. Yen Fu. Zhuofan shouted. Yen Fu was Vicious Pill King's prized pupil. When he got Yen Song to work under him, among other reasons, he also threatened Yen Fu's life, ultimately making Yen Song cave. It was obvious how much Elder Yen cared about the kid. So, as a good steward, Zhuofan was looking for the chance to get Yen Fu to switch sides as well, and bring the master and disciple back together in one big happy family. Though a chance never came until now. It wasn't like he was swamped with work, but more along the lines of he couldn't find Yen Fu. He lucked out by bumping into him in Dragon Cloud City, but there was no way he could talk to him in front of the 7 houses, that was for sure. Who'd have ever conceived it possible, the 2 of them would finally reconnect after many, many years. Though the circumstances were perhaps particularly awkward to explain his way out of. It wasn't either about Huangpu Qingtian finding out he'd be stealing him from right under his nose. What was a little more hatred when there was no love lost between them to begin with? Just that it would get this guy in the crossfire, and whittle down his life to nothing. Yen Song would never forgive him for this. He never ever owed anybody anything, and the same applied to everyone. Yen Fu found his leg in Zhuofan's clutches but realized the demon wasn't going in for the kill. He looked on oddly and stopped shivering, trying to calm his errant heart as well. Scared out of his mind his taunt earlier would earn him a gruesome death, he ducked for cover the instant Zhuofan touched down. Only to hear him wanting to have a blast at the expense of others' lives, driving such horror into his heart he couldn't even move. His only hope was that the demon would leave once he had his fill of killing. Who was to know once the dust settled, the demon himself would come after his head. He even found his hidey hole like nothing. It terrified him. But figuring out Zhuofan had no intention of harming him emboldened him, perhaps the death of his master had some part in this as well. Yen Fu stuck out his chin and bellowed at Zhuofan, "Humph, you damn demon! I vow to get revenge for killing my master." "And how exactly?" Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. His mood sinking, Yen Fu gnashed his teeth in humiliation. "Yeah, with my power I can never defeat you. And now I'm in your clutches. Kill me if you have the guts. Let me go see my master. I am unworthy of taking revenge, but the least I can do is go serve him in the underworld." Zhuofan nodded and sighed. "The kid is a coward and a lecher, but he is filial to his master, I'll give him that much. I can see why Elder Yen doted on him. Rest assured I won't kill you. As for your master," Zhuofan was about to explain, but a sudden noise cut him off. Whoosh! 4 figures landed 100 meters off Zhuofan, with Huangpu Qingtian in the lead. The other 3 were Yen Bangyi, Yu Yushan and Lin Shenfeng. The 3 looked grave while only Huangpu Qingtian took it easy. But there was no way to hide the raging battle lust in his eyes. "You're here," Huangpu Qingtian said. Zhuofan grinned. "How could I possibly refuse young Master Huangpu's invitation?" Taking in the dozen corpses around, Huangpu Qingtian said, "You're soaring demonic dragon in name and reality. You won't spare even the weak. Humph, with your strength you're only shaming yourself stooping so low." Yu Yushan vented his ire. Zhuofan just shrugged. "I was only playing around. Don't tell me they're worth crying over." "Of course not, but now that I'm here, if you still want to play, come after me." Huangpu Qingtian shook his head, hardly caring about some low lives. He then turned to Yen Fu, "Finish the kid off if you want to. Then I'll teach you true power." Yen Fu shivered from indignation. Ever since his master kicked the bucket, he was reduced to being treated like those common third- and second-rate clansmen. And not just Huangpu Qingtian looked down on him, not even his clan's Yen Bangyi spoke in his defense. "Haha, I'm a true pariah now. It won't matter now. For us master and disciple to die at Zhuofan's hand is only fitting. At least Zhuofan is our enemy. If I would have died because of my clansmen, I'd truly die with regrets." Forlorn, Yen Fu sighed and closed his eyes. He may have thought so, but how could he let go so easily after being cast out by his house? His hatred now changed from Zhuofan to the same house that raised him. Zhuofan nodded and sighed. He grabbed his neck and hoisted him and spun on his feet. Intentional or not, it just so happened to block Huangpu Qingtian's vision. "Yen Fu, a man of your grief and emotion, letting you live will make the pain so much sweeter. I just love seeing my enemies trudge through life in pain and suffering. I won't kill you now. But if you still yearn for death, come find me. I'll send you to hell to see the ghost of your master." Zhuofan's ended on a heavy tone and a slap at Yen Fu's chest. Out of anyone else's notice, he also slipped a jade in his clothes. Yen Fu's eyes shot wide open, but then he saw Zhuofan's vague smile. "Remember, if you find life to be too much of a torment, come find me. I'll surely send you off to hell to your master." Zhuofan then flung him away. Yen Fu was dirty and wretched, but his eyes lit up and clutched his chest. Huangpu Qingtian looked skeptical. "Zhuofan, I never knew you for your mercy, especially on a waist." "What can I say, I'm a saint." Zhuofan shrugged. Everyone rolled their eyes. "If you're a saint then the whole world is filled with demons." Squinting, Huangpu Qingtian played around. "Since you don't want to land the final blow, let me help you." Huangpu Qingtian struck a palm at Yen Fu. Yen Fu was rooted in place from fear as he cried. Yen Fu was useless, true, but he was their waste. Why would the eldest young master kill off one of his own? Yen Fu was close to peeing himself when the almighty strike stopped just an inch off his head. The wind it picked up ruffled his black hair but also paralyzed him. Squinting, Huangpu Qingtian turned to Zhuofan, who watched the strike in interest, knowing full well what he was doing. He also seemed to encourage Huangpu Qingtian to finish the waste off, as if he was eager to see the allies tearing each other up. Huangpu Qingtian took back his palm, still staring at Zhuofan. "Was I mistaken? What's wrong? Why stop?" Zhuofan urged him, full of eagerness. Huangpu Qingtian said, "He is useless and I want to deal with him as well, but what do you know, I'm also feeling a bit of a saint myself." The two burst out laughing, while the 4 witnesses looked on in fear. These 2 vile tyrants are that damn rotten to call themselves saints? Humph, degenerates, the both of them. Of course they kept it to themselves if they knew what was good for them. With heaven-shaking dragon lord and soaring demonic dragon's tempers, these savage beasts would tear them limb from limb otherwise. Case in point, one only had to throw a look at Forest Fleeting Dragon's sorry state. Glancing at the one-legged man, the other three knew perfectly well when to keep their mouth shut. Huangpu Qingtian and Zhuo Fan were not ones to take any complaints without dishing out extra punishment. Yet they all failed to realize a shadow peering out as they were engrossed in the play. Is that heaven-shaking dragon lord, Huangpu Qingtian? The same one who doesn't care about anyone? Haha, how amusing, he isn't average at all. But compared to him, Zhuo Fan is more along my tastes as a demonic cultivator. Nice power, good skills, but who is stronger among them? I am not one to pick up trash and take back the loser. Snickering, the shadow spoke as if he was fetching livestock. Who knew Qianyu birthed so many wonderful goods? I didn't waste time coming here, ha ha ha. Chapter 287 Blindsided. Chapter 287 Blindsided. Well, let's get to it. You must be here for the brimming sacred pill, I wager. But don't think for a second it's going to be that easy to take it from me. Having dispensed the probing, Huangpu Qingtian snickered as he flashed the storage ring on his finger. Come, show me what you're made of. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow and shrugged. Ha, you take me for an idiot? Fighting on your turf and on your own terms is retarded. Yes, exactly so. Huangpu Qingtian nodded as he boasted. But if not for that, what are you even doing here? And without defeating me you'll never get this pill. Whoosh. He didn't finish as his ring vanished, now in Zhuo Fan's hand. Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed golden as he mocked. You were saying? Everyone watched on in shock. They shuddered incredulously at what they just witnessed. Even the ever-calm and stalwart Huangpu Qingtian had a reaction. How did he do that? The observer in the shadows also cried out, what art did this kid use? It's so weird even I couldn't sense it. Zhuo Fan mocked, I only came for the brimming sacred pill. With that done, but bye. Zhuo Fan unfolded his wings and shot into the air before vanishing. The rest were so out of it they couldn't even react. They were in complete fear of his mystical art. When they finally did snap out of it, Huangpu Qingtian's face twisted. Toyed around like that never happened to him. Eldest young master, Yu Yushan began. Huangpu Qingtian dismissed him with a wave and turned to Lin Xianfeng, give me the ring. Lin Xianfeng hopped over with flattery, eldest young master is amazing, leaving the ring with the pill in my care. Zhuo Fan would be blowing his top when he finds out all he got was nothing, ha. Huangpu Qingtian was not in the least bit amused of having duped his enemy. He took the ring as he sounded morose, I only did it to not lose the pill. He'd never realize I'd be willing to leave the pill to a cripple. But never thought it would show its worth so fast. Zhuo Fan is not easy to deal with. Clenching his fist, Huangpu Qingtian spat. Lin Xianfeng was sullen. Huangpu Qingtian only referred to him as a cripple nowadays. The other two nodded solemnly. But then Huangpu Qingtian found an eerie breeze pass by him, and when he opened his palm, the ring was gone. Huangpu Qingtian's heart sank as he raved, Zhuo Fan. Tone it down. What do you want with me anyway? Zhuo Fan grinned victoriously as he came from a bush. The three lackeys jumped behind Huangpu Qingtian in fright. Didn't he just fly off? What's he doing back? Huangpu Qingtian glared, it was you just now. Yep, what was I supposed to do with a fake ring anyway? Zhuo Fan tossed the two rings around, taunting, young Master Huangpu, who knew even you are scared of something, unwilling to give me the true location of the pill and tried to cheat me out of it instead. Are you perhaps afraid you were gonna lose? Huangpu Qingtian trembled as the rage got the best of him. I never said the pill was on me, just waving my hand around. It's your fault for jumping to conclusions. Haha, sophistry. Zhuo Fan put the two rings on his fingers and snickered, but I got the pill this time, so I'll be going. For real this time. Later, people. Zhuo Fan was gone. They all watched in shock, coming and going without a sign. Huangpu Qingtian released his soul sense in fear Zhuo Fan might be playing another trick. Only after he knew the coast was clear, did Huangpu Qingtian ease his breath. His mood dangerously low, Huangpu Qingtian felt horrendous having suffered so much. He had gone and challenged Zhuo Fan in front of so many people. And what did that get him? Losing the pill faster than he got it? How could he possibly take it at face value? Yu Yushan inched closer to Huangpu Qingtian in worry. Eldest young master, short-term gains aren't important. Zhuo Fan is too much of a variable with mystical abilities. We need to find a way to deal with his disappearing acts. If we can't trap him, the day we fight he'll take us down one by one while we won't even touch him. We can't have that. The other two nodded. They felt utterly powerless in the face of Zhuo Fan's shifting around unrestrained. It doesn't matter. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes flashed. Sir Leng already predicted this. Isn't our earlier plan all to deal with him? You mean? Yu Yushan said, I see. I'll gather the scattered people and instruct them harder. No. Huangpu Qingtian waved his hand. Zhuo Fan terrified them. They are obsolete. Just leave them to die on Beast King Mountain. Go after our vassals that are still missing. Have them help instead. They were all shocked by Huangpu Qingtian's cruelty. These people had only been with them for around 10 days and were quite hard-working. And yet they were cast away like broken toys. Huangpu Qingtian could tell what was on their minds. Do you know the difference between a help and a burden? They shook their heads. Huangpu Qingtian mocked. A help assists me in achieving what I want and a burden works against me. It will one day mean the difference between life and death. The three blinked, still unconvinced. They knew of this of course but weren't getting where he was going with this. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. They would have helped me before in dealing with this spawn. But now they are terrified of Zhuo Fan and will be an inconvenience to us. Letting them participate regardless will pose a grave danger to us, even death. This is why I threw them away. Or would you rather have Zhuo Fan kill you because of some dead weights? They finally understood and looked at him in admiration. Huangpu Qingtian is the eldest young master for a reason. Such insight, such cunning like a true emperor. The shadow nodded from afar, pleased by Huangpu Qingtian's character. Glancing at them, Huangpu Qingtian continued, Yu Yushan, weren't you curious why I let Drifting Flowers edifices group off? I'll tell you. Because they are all Zhuo Fan's burdens. If they die, Zhuo Fan will be uncontrollable even to us. But now, with Chu Qingqing helping us without knowing, we will grasp this chance to deal with him for good. The three gave their thumbs up. Even lumped together, Chu Qingqing's gang was still as weak as if they were alone. While if Zhuo Fan was left alone, he may one day come to reap their lives. Using these people to tie Zhuo Fan down was the best bet. It was such an obvious trap that even Zhuo Fan had no choice but to jump right in. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes shined, regaining control of the situation. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan was cruising the skies, yet didn't feel like a winner at all. He already guessed Huangpu Qingtian's thinking, but he still couldn't get himself to cast aside all those people. And that was the least of his worries. The biggest headache was how easily Huangpu Qingtian could do it while he found it impossible. Just now after he let Yan Fu go, Huangpu Qingtian grew suspicious of Yan Fu. His suspicions had no real reason and yet he made the prompt decision to attack Yan Fu. If not for Zhuo Fan being an Oscar-level actor, Yan Fu would have been a smear on the ground. He was cruel enough to kill any doubts than let any mistake slip by. He always watched Zhuo Fan even as he attacked, but stopped short of killing to not give Zhuo Fan more reasons to mock him. Other than that, Yan Fu would have been totally dead. In this way one had so many burdens on his shoulders, while the other had nothing tying him down. Zhuo Fan found himself at a disadvantage in this psychological warfare, having to accept everything he was attacked with. Even though I say the demonic path is cruel and pitiless, going to battle with so many burdens will be hard. I need to get the keys and exits to let them out as soon as possible. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth as he shot for Chu Qingqing like lightning. Chapter 288, A Hero's Return. Chapter 288, A Hero's Return. Elite Coder. Whoosh. With a crack of thunder, Zhuo Fan made his entrance before Chu Qingqing. They all whipped their heads towards him, their eyes glinting. Their entire morale rested on whether or not Zhuo Fan could bring back the stolen brimming sacred pill. Jitteriness rose as all eyes took in his prideful stance, keeping them in suspense. And the audience beyond the Wood National Elemental Stone was no different. This was the first contact between Zhuo Fan and Huangpu Qingtian, the strongest duo in this battle. Losing it would plunge their morale to rock bottom and the only sensible choice would be going home. But it didn't stop there. Their vassals' trust in the three houses would splinter, weakening their image in the populace's eye. It was the worst outcome as it affected their growth, especially now when an all-out war with the Regent Estates faction was just around the corner. A trickle of sweat fell down grandmother Long Yifei and Xie Xiaofeng's cheeks as the tension spiked. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath before grinning. He juggled the two storage rings and snickered, "Now which ring holds the brimming sacred pill, you reckon?" The words still hadn't sunk in from their momentary daze. But the next reaction was explosive. Everyone cheered. Zhuo Fan obviously got the pill. Everyone was moved at that point. Thinking back a few days ago, Huangpu Qingtian's overpowering might had plunged them into despair. How were they supposed to even face such a monster? But Zhuo Fan came back victorious, recovering the pill from the clutches of that monster. Such a feat worked wonders for their battered hearts from fear and shame, surging in them the will to fight. Even the ever-composed grandmother showed a rare trace of joy on her features. She turned to her two allies and burst out laughing. Dugu Zhantian eased a breath, nodding at the figure beyond the national elemental stone. The kid is a loose cannon, but he always comes through when it counts. If it were a war, the act of recovering the pill would instill our army greater morale than any one skirmish could ever do. Fang Qiubai smiled thinly. This only confirmed he made the right choice when he braved in picking him to face Huangpu Qingtian. He was the only one of the younger generation who could achieve it. But then Fang Qiubai caught on to something and brought it to Dugu Zhantian's attention. "Old Marshal, what is that?" Dugu Zhantian squinted and cursed inside. "That punk isn't a pushover in the least. He even dares to go against my orders." In a remote corner, among the three allied houses group, Lu Yizhen was seen on and off, cheering. Esoteric debate only allowed those below the age of 30 to participate. The old geezer was clearly out of the question. Dugu Zhantian himself even stated he was going to cut down with impunity any and all cheaters. But wasn't that guy a man of the Luo clan? Sir Fang, my eyes must have failed me. I can't see anything amiss." Dugu Zhantian played the fool. Fang Qiubai laughed. In any case, both of their priorities were skewed in Luo clan's favor. But who'd have thought the old marshal, the one immovable and strict man, would cover for Luo clan? Since when did a friggin' Radiant Stage expert's eyesight go bad? He must really like that fifth godson of his to be this biased. He'd never do this otherwise, not with how righteous the man was. That was for the best, since it was all for his majesty's sake. In protecting Luo clan, one had to be flexible and ignore minor hiccups. Fang Qiubai was worried this would have ruffled Dugu Zhantian's feathers. It's fine. I just saw an interesting spiritual beast that caught my attention. But since Marshall's eyesight is poor, never mind. Fang Qiubai rubbed his beard. Dugu Zhantian blushed, knowing fully well he was teased, so he chose to turn a blind eye. Plus, he vowed this would be the first and last time he'd ever cross his own word. Zhuge Changfeng kept a close eye on Zhuo Fan as a smile played on his lips. Then he gave a long look at Huangpu Tianyuan before chuckling. Estate Lord Huangpu, it seems in this skirmish the young master came out at the bottom. Victory and defeat are common in war. It was the steward, unwanted contriver Lung who deigned a response to Zhuge Changfeng's provocation. The way it came at no surprise to the regent estate, he seemed to have foreseen a long time ago that Huangpu Qingtian would lose. Zhuge Changfeng squinted. "Oh? Sir Lung was expecting this, I see. I take it you've taken ample preparation as well." You're too kind. I made a fool of myself before Prime Minister with my coarse skills. They are merely useful in dealing with pests." Lung Wuchang's eyes shined. Zhuge Changfeng nodded, returning to watch the national elemental stone, the cheering bunch therein, and sighed, "These kids are quick to celebrate. It won't matter if this trifling victory has gotten to the heads of the weak ones, but Steward Zhua, if even you are taken in by it, I'd be dreadfully disappointed." Zhuge Changfeng watched him hailed by the crowd as a hero. The man in question took the brimming sacred pills vial from the ring and showed it off to all. "See here? I've returned triumphant." "We see." They all shouted in joy and respect. With a wicked grin, Zhuo Fan stashed it into his own ring, weirding out the crowd. The 8th grade pill was a treasure in and of itself that not even the 7 houses had won. The least he could do was popping the cork to let them catch a glimpse of it. Zhuo Fan merely coughed and changed the subject. "All right, the show is over, break it up. We need to find the other pills and keys. Our goal is to win this esoteric debate." "What?" They all looked at him with dark faces. "Zhuo Fan, are you planning on hogging the pill?" Xie Tianyang's face twitched. Zhuo Fan put on a pained look as he cursed. "Xie Tianyang, is this how my brother, going through thick and thin, should act? Don't you trust me? Am I one to just hog it to myself? Am I that selfish?" "Yes." The crowd had spoken. Xie Tianyang said coldly, "It's because of the endless troubles we've passed. I know exactly just who you are. Zip it and hand it over. Nothing is safe in your hands, especially that 8th grade pill." The others joined in, but only as a joke. With Zhuo Fan as the strongest there, no place was safer than with him. Zhuo Fan feigned anger. "Since you don't trust me, then I'll eat it right in front of you. Besides, I got it back with my own efforts. Try to take it from me if you want it." "Tch." They all flicked their hands. Xie Tianyang even went a step further. "See that? I know this frigging guy's character better than I know myself. If hustling is a bust, he just switches to daylight robbery. Not to mention anything that ends up in his hands will never see the light of day. The others cracked up. Xuaningxiang was bursting with joy, not caring at all of the value of that bauble. The mood made them seem like one big happy family, laughing their troubles away. They seemed to have returned to the peaceful and safe days of All Beast Mountain Range a while back. This was all thanks to Zhuofan. He instilled courage in their hearts while also dispelling the thick dread Huangpu Qingtian cast over them. It just came to them that even the almighty Huangpu Qingtian wasn't infallible. At the very least, Zhuofan was there to give them a fighting chance. Once the cheerfulness passed, the three houses' head disciples began discussing serious matters. Xie Tianshang began, "Brother Zhua, you are the strongest here and also brought the brimming sacred pill back. That makes it yours. The stronger you are, the greater our chances." The rest nodded. They were all quite keen on having it for themselves, but with it being Zhuofan's spoil, it belonged to him by right. Moreover, a boosted Zhuofan would give them an edge in getting the other pills out there. This was the best outcome for their alliance. Zhuofan shook his head though. "I can't, Brother Xia. Did you really think Huangpu Qingtian waited 10 days for me with the 8th grade pill instead of eating it? Just so I could steal it?" Xie Tianshang frowned. Zhuofan smiled, "Because he won't dare." "What?" came their shocked response while Zhuofan explained, "It takes a long time to absorb it completely. If an enemy comes in that time, the slightest distraction would render it wasted, if not incur a heavy wound. So before a clear outcome has come from our conflicts, neither side would be willing to eat it." The sudden realization made them look at Zhuofan in a new light. Thanks to his reminder, they could now curb the irresistible lure of the brimming sacred pill the moment they found it. They were grateful for having avoided death if an enemy found them in such a vulnerable moment. They were clearly overthinking things though. Why would Huangpu Qingtian get rid of such delicious bait and help Zhuofan instead? Not to mention, Huangpu Qingtian was sure to drop by the instant any of them found one, and appropriated it. They'd never get the chance to even swallow it. These thoughts left Zhuofan sighing, "The sooner I send them home the better." Chapter 289, The Second Pill's Location. Chapter 289, The Second Pill's Location. Report. A shout caught their attention. A man was rushing over sweaty and in ragged garments. He fell to one knee before them. "Why, young masters, we have found the second brimming sacred pill's location." Ah! They all perked up. Zhuofan's advice did the trick, but even so, they were still yearning to go out there and get the pill themselves. Was it that easy to just let this chance pass by? It held the promise of getting a new Radiant Stage expert in their house and increase their power significantly. Then came their united reply, "Where?" 50 miles out, Killing Blood Marsh. The man cupped his hands. He truly rendered a service worthy of a reward. 5 days ago, we were tasked with finding young Master Zhua. By happenstance, we stumbled into a vial of brimming sacred pill in that place. Whether a coincidence or not, the pill is now deep in the nest of a third-level spiritual beast, Blood Croc. We opted to report rather than risk our lives. Blood Croc. That put a damp on their joyous moods. The Blood Croc was a pack spiritual beast and very territorial. Despite a mere third-level spiritual beast, their numbers deterred even a Radiant Stage expert from approaching. The easiest way to establish their strength was to look at how big this nest was. Long Xingyun spoke. "How many?" "Oh, forgive my forgetfulness. It is around 30,000 heads." The man stammered. "SSS." The shock was easily seen on everyone's faces. 30,000 blood crocs. Not even 10 Radiant Stage experts or 100 Profound Heaven experts could come out unharmed out of such a scuffle. Least of all their rabble of 2,000-3,000 men. The instant they charged, the blood crocs would tear them to pieces. Thus they all turned their heads to Zhuofan to see his take on this. The man in question was eerily calm, dissing the trouble with a wave. "Lead the way. Brother Zhua, you can do it?" They looked on in hope. With a vague smile, Zhuofan was playing coy. "Ha, we'll know when we get there," and proceeded to walk southwest. Being all mysterious worked, making the rest follow him in shock. No wonder a puny and forgotten Luo clan reached such a height. This guy was overpowered. He always came through despite adversities. Luo Yunhai, Xuaningxiang and the 100 people Zhuofan brought followed him the instant he made a move. For the first two it was an obvious choice. As for the 100 people, vassals to different houses, they went after Zhuofan like sheep after a shepherd. Besides, What difference would it make if they were behind Luo clan when the houses they were vassals to were all allies? You should at least go with your master even if so. They couldn't help it though, not when Zhuofan was a beacon of safety, willing to follow him everywhere with unflinching determination. Too bad the lucky Luo clan had yet to become a house, or these guys would have switched camps on the spot. The kid is taking everyone from us. I can already see how the esoteric debate ends. With half of our vassals willing to follow Luo clan. Long Xingyun sighed. Xie Qinshang shrugged, that's how charisma works. Be it a mighty emperor or just a clan head, they all have to have some amount of personal magnetism. We all do. But in Zhuofan's case, while ours is but a mere glint, his shines like a radiant star. Xie Qinshang followed closely as well. Long Xingyun chuckled right behind him. Chu Qingqing thoughtfully watched the prideful and solitary figure in front before coming to. The wood exit was soon barren of people, all going for the Killing Blood Marsh. The audience beyond the wood national elemental stone found the entertainment waning and returned to the seats Dugu Zhantian provided. All while speculating how Zhuofan managed to relieve Huangpu Qingtian of the pill. It was clear by his appearance that no blows were traded, so how? The man in question was now taking a stroll. Perhaps the exhaustion of the past few days never left him and only made him grow weary, culminating in this slow pace. Yet it only worked to put Long Xingyun's group on edge. They were itching to get to the Killing Blood Swamp first. It was funny how the esoteric debate of this century had been reduced to an 8th grade pill hunt. Zhuofan was not in the least bit hurried, taking his sweet time. While he was at it, he had the others scout the surroundings as they made their way forward. The way he saw it, brimming sacred pill was merely a reward to the winner of this final battle. It made little sense to look for it when the exits and keys held a far greater importance. With them on his hands, he had to find a way out, especially for a certain useless bunch. It just so happened to be working fabulously and easing his burden too. So he toned down on his speed, using this time to have the rest search for the keys. Long Xingyun's group found it incomprehensible. They wished nothing more than to charge in and get that 8th grade pill. Big brother Zhuo, I found a key. Xuaningxiang skipped over in glee, presenting a red crystal. Zhuofan saw the fist-sized red crystal. It was cold to the touch, telling him this was the Yin key of the fire exit. All he had to do now was find the Yang fire key and Xuaningxiang would be home free, leaving him room to go all out to his heart's content. Zhuofan brightened and patted her cute head. Well done, Ninger. Xuaningxiang giggled, at which Long Xingyun sighed. Miss Xue, finding a brimming sacred pill would be so much better. You won't just be doing a great service to us houses, but even hold yourself in favor. Zhuofan merely shook his head. Xuaningxiang would have none of that. Humph, I won't even go for some mystical pill. That's your delusion. I only care about what Big Brother Zhuo wants. Shuddering, Zhuofan looked queerly at her. He never said what was on his mind even after being in contact for the past few days, yet Ninger easily found out what he wanted. While not even his allies could, this genial and harmless lass. Long Xingyun shook his head. Miss Ninger, you're wrong. With how strong Brother Zhuo is, why would he want a bunch of keys? Only cowards would look for a way out. While a man of virtue like Brother Zhuo must be far more interested in the brimming sacred pill. Am I right? Long Xingyun turned to Zhuofan, talking as if it was the norm. Damn you, of course I want the keys to dump your sorry asses. Stop mooching off of me. Only Ninger truly knows what I want. Zhuofan cursed inside but couldn't refute Long Xingyun's bright smile. Maybe for my reputation's sake, or they'd go calling me coward instead. If I explain it, they'll think I'd be a hindrance and affect our alliance. Zhuofan could only nod. Yes, Brother Long makes perfect sense. Brimming sacred pill is far more important than some keys. Long Xingyun looked smug and taunted Xuaningxiang with his eyebrow. She was saddened on the spot, looking at Zhuo like a kicked puppy. I still think I'm right. Big Brother Zhuo wants. Ninger, don't feel sad. The thing is this key. Zhuofan was frantic in his explanation but then stopped. A yellow light aimed for his face tended to do that. Zhuofan easily caught it and found it to have the same feel as the red crystal, albeit yellow. Zhuofan was overjoyed. The Yin metal key. Zhuofan turned to look from where the crystal came. Who did me such great service? Explain. But Zhuofan twisted his head away awkwardly soon after. Chu Qingqing bore her cold haze into him, coming over to Xuaningxiang and taking her somewhere. Come, let's go after the other keys. But Big Brother Zhuo said he doesn't want them. Stop paying attention to his hypocrisies. Chu Qingqing snorted. Zhuo Fan felt a cold shiver. There's two of them now who can understand me? Long Xingyun was watching the two women perplexed. That's odd. It's normal for a naive girl like Ninger to mistake Brother Zhuo's intentions. But Edifice Lord Chu is a refined and ambitious woman, so why is she wasting time looking as well? Haha, you're asking me? Zhuo Fan let out a dry laugh, masking the sigh in his heart. He was your typical lone wolf, with hardly anyone catching on to his thinking. But now two women showed up at the same time, defying all logic. Is this the legendary bosom buddy? A chuckle escaped his lips. He, a coldstone demonic cultivator, was oblivious to matters of the fairer sex as a close friend, and yet, this feeling ain't bad. Ain't bad at all. Zhuo Fan resumed walking for the Killing Blood Marsh, leaving a puzzled Long Xingyun behind. What should have taken 5 days, thanks to Zhuo Fan taking it easy, they arrived after 10. But not for nothing, considering the riches he fetched along the way. Of the 10 total keys, they found 4, with the metal key the only complete one. All that was left was to look for the metal exit. Be that as it may, the slow march had its downside. Someone beat them to it. Chapter 290 Acting Commander. Chapter 290 Acting Commander. Elite Coder. A sudden red sandy beach spread out for miles and miles. All they could see beyond red was more red. And what made it worse was the queasy feeling when the smell wafted into their noses. This was the lair of the 3rd-level spiritual beast, Blood Croc. This beast left their lair in packs to hunt, then dragged their quarry back to mangle and feast on their kill. This made for a gory sight as well as the endless gushing blood. This led to their domain soaked in red and made impossible for anything else to grow. Hence the name Killing Blood Marsh. The group looked amazed, certain this place was the lair of blood crocs. What was truly baffling was in fact the lack of blood crocs on their way here. Not to mention they took their time. With a frown, Long Xingyun voiced his doubt at the scout. Did you actually see any blood croc here, or even the brimming sacred pill? Yes, young Master Long. I'd never lie to you. When I got here earlier I saw thousands of blood croc and even caught a glimpse of a vial in their midst. The man pointed. Long Xingyun believed him and pressed on after a quick look at the others. But they soon had to stop again and shudder. Their faces grew grave and their eyes revealed shock. What's this monster doing here? They were at the edge of a sunken area, with a familiar figure in its center. Despite looking at his back, they had no trouble recognizing him. Too slow. I've been waiting here for ages. Huangpu Qingtian made a show out of turning around and directed a snicker Zhuo Fan's way. I'll let you hog the first pill for now. But the second one is mine, haha. The faces of everyone sank. Does that mean the second pill already landed in Huangpu Qingtian's hands? How did he find out? He knew our objective and waited us out? Is there a spy among us? The horror of the situation dawned on them. In this perilous area, any internal conflict would have devastating repercussions. With a mole within their midst, the dangers would grow exponentially. All of them started looking at their neighbor with a critical eye and became on guard. Any trust they had gone up in smoke. The Tri-House alliance was on the verge of crumbling. Grinning, Zhuo Fan said, "There's no need to doubt. It was I who told him." You? Xie Tianshang was the first to complain and looked at him with thirst for battle. Why? Rolling his eyes, Xie Tianyang provided the explanation. Big brother, that's him talking nonsense. With him being the strongest, if he wanted to be a spy, he'd have done it from the start. Why waste time with this convoluted ploy? Then, Xie Tianshang didn't get it. Luo Yunhai chuckled. Big brother Zhuo is trying to say that doubting each other will be buying into the enemy's trap and make us weaker. We will talk later about the spy matter. Now it's time for all of us to unite and fight. They all nodded and attached greater importance to Luo clan. The sinister and deceitful Zhuo Fan wasn't the only one with a full grasp of the situation. Luo clan's future clan head was also wise. He lived up to his name as the 5th godson of Dugu Zhantian. Taking this into account, Luo clan's rise was imminent. The 3 houses' top disciples nodded in praise as well. Although the Luo clan had ridiculous growth over the years, so much so they felt scared, they were nonetheless eager to see what would become of this fledgling clan. In the eyes of the crowd, the clan head and servant glowed with unprecedented brightness. Big brother Zhuo, something's off here. Luo Yunhai glanced at his surroundings as he whispered to Zhuo Fan, this place is prone to ambushes. We need to be extra cautious. Nodding, Zhuo Fan gave the area a once-over. In your eyes, how do you think they'll do it? A frontal assault with a pincer move, followed by an ambush from behind. Luo Yunhai's eyes were firm, convinced of seeing through the other's scheme. Zhuo Fan smiled, "You've learned well from that old geezer. You haven't let me down. You and your team deal with the back ambush while I will handle the front." Zhuo Fan then shot forth with a calm look. Luo Yunhai was startled then nodded. He knew the frontal assault was the enemy's main force. What Zhuo Fan chose was the hardest and most dangerous mission. Then again, recalling Zhuo Fan's dreaded power and mystical abilities, Luo Yunhai set his mind at ease. Where is Zhuo Fan going? Xie Tianxiang was left clueless, as were many others. He was about to chase when Luo Yunhai stopped him. "I ask of you all to listen to my orders, lest we be routed." After the shock subsided, they looked at him in derision. They all admired Luo Yunhai, but not to the point they'd be in awe of this young man who lacked the almighty power Zhuo Fan had. Which among these future house lords would ever let a runt tell them what to do? If there was anyone from Luo clan who they'd ever accept, it would be Zhuo Fan. But letting a tyke boss them around. All he got was snorts. Luo Yunhai's face grew grave, knowing there was nothing else he could do. Every aspect of him, be it experience or power, lacked in making these houses' geniuses trust him, let alone listening to him. But it was at this crucial moment a cold yet charming voice echoed, "Is it Zhuo Fan's decision?" Luo Yunhai looked up startled to see Chu Qingqing's cold and critical eye. He nodded. She looked back at the man's imposing figure walking in front of them and sighed, "Then what is your plan?" That got a reaction out of the crowd. The grand edifice Lord Chu is actually listening to a damn kid? You may fancy Zhuo Fan and want his favor, but don't go throwing away Drifting Flowers edifice's reputation. Surely they all hung on Zhuo Fan's every word. The mighty soaring demonic dragon could fight toe-to-toe with Huangpu Qingtian, no? So what reason did they have to treat a brat the same way? The other two houses refrained from commenting. To Xuaningxiang, the world's #1 innocent, more like delusional missus, the intricacies this decision held to the other houses went right over her head as she shouted, "Yunhai, I'll listen to you. You got us out of that impasse last time. You may not be on Big Brother Zhuo's level, but you're still stronger than these guys who only know how to lose." Restraint was not in Xuaningxiang's vocabulary, making Long Xingyun and Xie Tianxiang's faces aflame. Ever since they came to Beast King Mountain they hadn't won once. Nor lost with dignity. And that was the truth of it. All they ever achieved since coming here was a big fat nada. They felt ashamed even more now with Xuaningxiang there to poke their wounds. It also had something to do with Xie Tianyang being her shadow, safeguarding her every step of the way. If it was any other vassal clan, even with Sword Marquis Abode's amiable stance, they'd still get a trashing. Would any lord allow their vassal to act like so? Ninger, don't say that. Leave them with some dignity. They were all on the same side after all, practically brothers. Xie Tianyang had to curb Xuaningxiang's willfulness. He then turned to Xie Tianxiang, "Big brother, all of us house disciples are usually focused on cultivating. Fighting alone is out of the question, but when it comes to joining a team, it's best we leave it to Yunhai. If I know that punk Zhuo Fan well, he never did things he wasn't sure of. So let's go along with his decision." Luo Yunhai nodded in gratitude at Chu Qingqing, Xuaningxiang and Xie Tianyang. Then turned nervously to Xie Tianxiang. Xie Tianxiang squinted but gave his consent. "What would you have us do?" Luo Yunhai was overjoyed. He finally had Sword Marquis Abode's support. Long Xingyun saw how two of his allies caved and shrugged, in lack of a better option. "Since Drifting Flowers edifices and Sword Marquis Abode approve, I will also listen to you." Luo Yunhai was excited. He had now become the Tri-House Alliance's acting commander. He had the power to move thousands of people, that of the houses and their vassals. As long as Huangpu Qingtian didn't butt in, he was certain nothing could stand in the way of him and his army. Luo Yunhai put on a serious face and spoke, "From my discussion with Big Brother Zhuo, we've concluded that we are surrounded. We will have to break through the encirclement. Listen up, everyone, the vassals are to split in 3 groups, those belonging to each houses. The Drifting Flowers edifices division will form a column, awaiting my order to attack our behind. The other 2 will form our flanks as we move in tandem. Keep cool and don't break formation as you fight. Be mindful of your position in the formation to not let it crumble." Luo Yunhai shouted with confidence. He knew full well that Zhuo Fan was the sole reason they listened. But come the aftermath of the battle, he was certain their views will change. "My 5 years in the army weren't a waste. Luo Yunhai vowed. Chapter 291 Charged. Chapter 291 Charge. Zhuo Fan went over to Huangpu Qingtian, his gait casual, his tone calm, just like seeing an old pal. Young Master Huangpu, since this is the second round, you should have told me. Where's the pill then? Ah, please. It'd be the same as dangling the brimming sacred pill in your face. Now that I've seen what Steward Zhuo can do, let's see you try getting it now. Huangpu Qingtian raised a taunting eyebrow. Zhuo Fan shook his head. There was no point in doing anything, not when he had no clue of the item's location. Young Master Huangpu, since you won't tell me, take it as my loss this time. Let's meet again in round 3. Zhuo Fan waved and was about to retreat as if scared. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. Steward Zhuo, I admit that I have no way of stopping you from leaving. Nor do you have a way of stopping me. But I can't say the same for them. Hinting at Luo Yunhai's army, Huangpu Qingtian snickered with a light clap. Furious roars filled the marsh, storming for the group of allies from both sides. Just as Luo Yunhai predicted. The attack was formed of 2 armies led by Yan Bangyi and Yu Yushan, respectively. There was no sign of Lin Xianfeng. The guy was double the cripple, true, but a profound heaven expert regardless. He wasn't about to miss out on springing an ambush. With such an obvious answer, Luo Yunhai easily predicted the guy was waiting for them to retreat in his direction. Nice, you live up to the name of Tianyu's 5th tiger. Xie Qinshang showed his admiration. His opinion of Luo Yunhai grew a notch. The same went for the others. If not for Luo Yunhai's tactic, the sudden charge of so many enemies would have crushed them where they stood. Some would choose to flee and run into Lin Xuanfeng's team, sealing any means of escape. Luo Yunhai may be weak, but his art of war was leagues above anyone from 6 dragons and 1 phoenix. Luo Yunhai just shook his hand. The praise didn't get to his head as he kept his cool in dealing with the sudden dual charge. Listen up. Only act when I give the signal. They all nodded, fully trusting Luo Yunhai. Huangpu Qingtian watched it all with a smile. Steward Zhuo, your allies look positively rooted in fear. They huddle together like lambs about to break, flooded by my men. Isn't it what you wanted anyway? Zhuo Fan smiled back, completely confident of Luo Yunhai's abilities. Squinting, Huangpu Qingtian felt something amiss. His side had 10,000 men doing the charge and even laid down an ambush. While the Tri-House Alliance numbered 3,000 at best, outnumbered 5 to 1. With them holding the field and numerical advantage, anyone would think this battle was in the bag. So what did Zhuo Fan base his confidence on? Huangpu Qingtian would find out soon enough. Kill? With an earth-shaking roar, Luo Yunhai pointed behind him and his army followed. Yan Bangyi and Yu Yushan's armies were stunned in bafflement. We haven't even made contact, so why are they charging behind? The ambush hadn't sprung yet either. The 2 were oblivious to its meaning and took it as a good thing. Regardless of what trick they pulled, it would only work to show a hole in their formation. This will make things easier, killing them down to the last man. The 2 only grew excited in their charge. How could they have known their crass assumption couldn't be farther from the truth? Luo Yunhai's army did charge, but its flanks did their job in keeping the center shielded. Despite the flanks clashing with the enemy, they showed no weakness in their defense as they also didn't engage in a heated fight, moving with the center's charge as well. Yan Bangyi and Yan Bangyi's armies found themselves in the worst situation. They felt as if each man was facing 5 people. Just as they attacked the front, a sudden retaliation came from the back. The Tri-House Alliance moved like the sea, crushing the enemy armies in waves. Amidst the turbulent waters, Yan Bangyi and Yu Yushan found their numbers culled. As for the lucky survivors, they landed far behind the battle, looking on at the endless strings of corpses left by the Alliance's charge. They had the numbers, they had the flanking, but now they had the biggest losses. While Yan Bangyi and Yu Yushan looked positively glum, Huangpu Qingtian gnashed his teeth. You've got your ass handed to you even when 5 to 1? Just what do I keep you idiots for anyway? Yu Yushan's back tingled from Huangpu Qingtian's seething bloodthirst and he gave the signal to Lin Xianfeng. A 3-pronged attack ought to save them from a gruesome and cruel death, no? But as Lin Xianfeng eagerly led his 5,000 men to beat someone when they were down, he heard a loud boom and his army was blown away. Luo Yunhai's vanguard, drifting flowers edifices, was mowing his men like grass. His only reaction, slack-jawed. What the hell? Weren't we supposed to catch a fish in a barrel at this point? Why the hell do I still see them holding strong? How the hell does a huge fish like this just slip right past you? Yen Bongi and Yu Yushan, are you more useless than manure? What are you doing letting a pristine army charge here? How am I supposed to stop them? While he was here cursing his allies, the duo cursed right back. You damn cripple. Is this how you lead an army? Are your men meant as cannon fodder? I don't expect you to stop them, but you could at least curb their charge somewhat. You're 100% garbage is what you are. You got what was coming to you when soaring demonic dragon took an arm and a leg. As the trio cursed each other like no tomorrow, Luo Yunhai had no problem punching his way through the encirclement. Zhuo Fan laughed from pride. When it came to armies, ambushes were the norm. This couldn't have been a better test for the fledgling marshal. The way Luo Yunhai set his army was the typical echelon formation, excelling in counter-attacking the pincer attack and allowing high mobility. This formation puts a price on speed above all else. Once it was formed and picked enough speed, nothing could stand in its way. Zhuo Fan flicked a grin to Huangpu Qingtian. Young Master Huangpu, my guess is that it wouldn't be so hard for them to get away. Face twitching, Huangpu Qingtian looked ahead with a scorching gaze. He wished nothing more than to kill those three wretched allies of his. The reason for one's defeat wasn't an unbeatable enemy, but wretched allies. Those morons have higher numbers yet were still smacked around. All they managed to do is drag my reputation through the mud. They're nothing but utter imbeciles. Taking a deep breath to quell the surging anger, Huangpu Qingtian laughed coldly. Ha, Steward Zhuo is erudite in pen and sword. You've had this planned all along. No, there was no planning. They did it all by themselves. One must give credit where it's due and not take it for oneself. Zhuo Fan cut him off with his snide remark, which only got Huangpu Qingtian even more worked up. Zhuo Fan's deceitful character was common knowledge, so losing to him was hardly shameful. But those three sods of his lost to the likes of some broads from Drifting Flowers edifices. To make matters worse, it was the tyke from Luo clan leading them. With his allies having lost any semblance of dignity, it was quite sensible for their leader to blow a gasket. Grating his teeth and fuming mad, Huangpu Qingtian's face took on a vile tone. Steward Zhuo, I never wished to drag them into this. You leave me no choice but to. What, go and snap their necks yourself? Ah, you'll have to go through me first. With his trademark evil grin, Zhuo Fan's urge for battle flared. Huangpu Qingtian nodded, our fight is foreordained. But first, let's see if you can save them. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes flashed with cruelty and roared at the sky. Ooh. Shockingly enough, Huangpu Qingtian's mere shout sounded closer to a dragon than a human. Zhuo Fan squinted, but his reply was a calm gathering of eerie power in his eyes. That dragon roar was a special martial art, just like his wraith style. They both originated from dragons. But no man could ever release a dragon's roar, short of being a dragon himself. Zhuo Fan shook that thought away, finding it utterly ridiculous. A true dragon had the power of at least Gu Santong. Despite being called a monster, his might had yet to shed the realm of mortals. So why then? Zhuo Fan's train of thought was cut off when the earth rumbled with a dreadful sound. Chapter 292 Blood Croc Army. Chapter 292 Blood Croc Army. Boom. As the rumbling continued, the sound only grew louder. Not even the chaos of battle could drown it. Luo clan and Drifting Flowers edifices stopped their charge. So too did Yen Bongi and Yu Yushan cease attacking their flanks. Ally and enemy alike watched dumbstruck at the source of the noise. What dreaded creature could make such a riveting entrance? Roar. They got their answer in the form of an endless stampede of blood-red creatures crawling towards them from behind Huangpu Qingtian. Regardless of where one looked, all they saw was a crawling red mass. Now that they got a closer look, the creature was a fanged blood crocodile of 5 meters in length. They were pack animals crawling on the ground, yet that didn't stop them from having incredible speed and tough bodies like peak bone tempering experts. 3rd level spiritual beast, Blood Croc. Everyone cried out in alarm. Who wouldn't, when watching 10,000 blood crocs marching towards them with relentless force? A lucky few profound heaven experts would just fly out, while the rest were doomed to be ripped limb from limb in the jaws of a croc. Luo Yunhai turned grave. Godfather told me the Chuanrong are expert beast masters, sweeping the battlefield with their beast army. This army can use formations and could hold its own at a numerical disadvantage, but I never imagined Huangpu Qingtian would resort to the likes of this. This is bad. What, Huangpu Qingtian called them? Long Xingyun snapped his head at the smirking figure. just as the blood croc simply bypassed him. Now a believer, his face sank. This monster is already strong enough, but now he can call upon a beast army as well? We can't fight them. Our only choice is to run or get trampled. The others took one last fearful look at Huangpu Qingtian and nodded. Huangpu Qingtian's talent had reached a godlike level. But was running that easy? Sure, the few flying ones could take some passengers, but what about the other couple thousand? They were fated to end up as broken corpses under the blood croc stampede. Chu Qingqing frowned and sighed. Yan Bangyi, Yu Yushan and Lin Shenfeng snickered as they flew away with their profound heaven experts, uncaring to the fate of the rest. Xie Tianyang looked at Zhuo Fan's broad and straight back. Our fate now rests solely in his hands. Everyone looked at Zhuo Fan in frustration and helplessness. Zhuo Fan's abilities were eerie to say the least, of great power, but could one man stop the flood? They held no hope in Zhuo Fan. Even Luo Yunhai, always confident of Zhuo Fan's invincibility, faltered. I and Big Brother Zhuo had anticipated the enemy launching a frontal assault. It was our ignorance that led us to assume they'd be men and not thousands of blood crocs. Humans are susceptible to fear. A bit of trick here and there from Big Brother Zhuo would be enough to buy us plenty of time. But when facing a horde of savage spiritual beasts, they won't falter for anything. Damn it! Is there no other way? Xie Tianshang cut him off in anger. His eyes were burning from rage. Huangpu Qingtian is inhuman. The others got what he was saying. Yes, he was inhuman. No man was able to subdue a blood croc horde and use it for himself. No one would be so cruel to his fellow men, to even throw away his own men's lives to be ground beneath the marching horde of his beasts. Then it dawned on them. Isn't that strikingly similar to Zhuo Fan? They turned to him now. The man was taking a deep breath and looked on heavily. Like a cold-blooded monster, he also possessed power no man could. But how much could this monster slow the horde down? We don't ask for much, just enough to let us get out alive. They held little hope for Zhuo Fan pulling through for them, but they still did hope. His talent was unseen in this world as well, but he was a human like the rest. How could he possibly slow the beast flood down? Well, one delusional girl thought this was right up his alley. Xuaningxiang clenched her fists and said, "No worries. Big Brother Zhuo can do it." She had now crossed the point of no return, becoming an eternal Zhuo Fan's fan. She didn't care about hows or whys, just as long as Zhuo Fan did something, everything would be all right. Funnily enough, she was right. Luo Yunhai begged to differ, however. Zhuo Fan had no problem dealing with a bunch of men charging over, but as for spiritual beasts, in the face of the ravenous flood, Zhuo Fan looked like a dinghy floating about, ready to tip at any jolt. However, this dinghy was quite calm and smiling. Young Master Huangpu, who knew you can tame beasts. "Ha, you're too kind. It is but a mere parlor trick." Huangpu Qingtian acted casual but couldn't hide the conceit in his eyes from Zhuo Fan. As Zhuo Fan took pride in his blinking art, Huangpu Qingtian was confident of his beast-taming skill. It was akin to providence. As if heaven went out of its way to lay everything at this king's feet so that no man or beast could defy his righteous conquest. Zhuo Fan could tell what he was thinking and grinned. "Young Master Huangpu, you sure are confident in your ability." "Not confidence but a given." Huangpu Qingtian smiled with his head held high. The emperor declared, "In this world, be it armies, the ground beneath their feet, the officials, and even these savage beasts, all are fated to bow before their true king." Show off. Zhuo Fan's inner outcry summed it up nicely. While his reply was a snort and shake of the head, "What do you say to a wager then?" "On what?" That got Huangpu Qingtian's attention. The kid has time to bet when his life is at stake? What's he up to? Bang. Zhuo Fan drew a heavy line with his foot, sneering at Huangpu Qingtian. "I wager your beast army won't cross it. Even if just one of them does, I lose." Pretentious. Huangpu Qingtian only had anger for his haughty boast. He knew what Zhuo Fan was capable of, but never once believed the punk had the power to quell the beast tide of tens of thousands. Huangpu Qingtian only managed to do it with that little secret deep within him. As for power alone? Impossible. Zhuo Fan's crass words undermined his authority. Was the ability of a regent that easily dispelled? Zhuo Fan only mocked him. "Well then, O young Master Huangpu, do you accept? The stakes are the brimming sacred pills we each hold. The winner gets the other's pill." Huangpu Qingtian mulled over the trickery Zhuo Fan planned to include in this wager, but still held supreme confidence that nothing the punk did could change anything. As such, for honor and hubris, he nodded, show me then your futile attempts to stop tens of thousands of spiritual beasts. My pleasure. With a crafty grin, Zhuofan turned to the charging blood croc tide. Filled with barbaric and unrelenting savagery, these blood crocs had only one answer to this suicidal kid, gaping maws filled with teeth and sharp claws. Chu Qingqing, Xuaningxiang and the rest watched on unnerved. Huangpu Qingtian had a cold smile, calm and uncaring to the lonely man facing a flood. Zhuofan's eyes then flashed in a strange light. The blood crocs were about to tear into him, with one of them even having his head in its maw. It only needed to chomp and that would be the end of Zhuofan. But the blood croc's eyes shrank in fear. Under the astonished looks of the bystanders, the beast army began to shiver. Roar! A mewling cry from somewhere among them signaled the rest of the blood crocs to turn tail and scamper from whence they came. The wild eyes and stumbling gait only hinted at the horrors these beasts had seen. They were even faster in retreat. This spectacle left everyone slack-jawed. Chu Qingqing was dumbstruck, Xie Tianyang was shell-shocked, Yushan was speechless, Lin Shenfeng jumped out of his skin and naturally Huangpu Qingtian was floored. He still had a clear picture in mind of Zhuofan being torn apart, only to be replaced with an image of a cowering beast army. What made it worse was the unknown element of how he'd done it. Huangpu Qingtian stood there like a statue, his eyes lost, mindless of even the fleeing spiritual beast zipping by. Chapter 293 First Contact. Chapter 293 First Contact. What just happened? Yu Yushan was floating about in the air, looking dazed at the scampering blood tide. When he finally managed to return to his senses, he said to his two allies, wasn't that eldest young master's trump card? The two were still out of it by the looks of it. Huangpu Qingtian had laid it on pretty thick with his boasting. That once blood crocs came into play, the Tri-House Alliance would be left in mangled pieces. They were so excited to see Zhuofan finally falling short in something, getting with the program of suffering like everyone else. The boasting got them hyped as well, eager to see Zhuofan in tears. That wasn't meant to be, however, not when the sure kill method was running away at top speed. The three sank into depression, followed closely by the sharp decline in Huangpu Qingtian's grandeur. Even heaven-shaking Dragon Lord got the same treatment as them. He boasted and flounced, sure, but do that in front of soaring demonic dragon and you get bitch slapped. He had met his bane. Luo Yunhai's side was on the verge of breaking down at the sight of the savage beast tide. They felt the end coming, their future robbed. But looking at it now, they knew the earlier panic was quite pointless. There was no need to fear as long as Zhuofan was here. The acting commander of the Tri-House Alliance shook his head at the casual Zhuofan. Sigh, it seems even I don't know Big Brother Zhuo well. He shrugged the beast army of tens of thousands like it was nothing. Forgive me, friends. I have made the grievous mistake of doubting Big Brother Zhuo's abilities. With how Huangpu Qingtian can do it, it's quite obvious Big Brother Zhuo can do it too. It's a fallacy to think otherwise. Luo Yunhai gave a solemn bow to the vexed crowd. It made sense though. Having gone through so many events with Zhuofan, there was one undeniable truth all of them should have figured out by now. Nothing was impossible for him. If even he met with an impossible conundrum, then all hope was lost. Huangpu Qingtian could control spiritual beasts? Humph, then so could Zhuofan. The basis? He was Zhuofan, of course. In the blink of an eye, Zhuofan's fan club found its ranks greatly bolstered. One had to admit that even a fan was right sometimes. Just look at Xuaningxiang bouncing around with unbridled joy. See that? What did I tell you? Chu Qingqing shook her head. Although her love rival, she still found her innocence pleasing to the eye. Xiao Dandan's eyes had hearts in them, watching Zhuofan with an intoxicated leer. Zhuofan's cold tone gave her quite the scare back then, but with him striking the alpha male pose, she threw that fear out the window. Dying by his hand would be a dream come true at this point. I'd rather be a ghost by a hero's side than the wife of a lousy bum. The lust was strong with this one. Xiao Dandan simply wanted to gobble Zhuofan up. Dong Xiaowan saw the others' galls and envy. They all fought over Zhuofan's attention, but not her. She was of low status and being unable to follow her heart left her in misery. These monsters are capable of anything. Xie Tianyang glanced at Xuaningxiang's red face with jealousy. The others paused for a second then nodded unanimously. One man controlled a beast tide while the other shooed it away with a wink. Could a human being ever do that? The two became a beacon of shock and awe to every onlooker. Zhuofan reigned totally supreme. He did have the upper hand and all. Rumble. Amidst the ever-shaking earth from the fleeing blood crocs passing him by, Huangpu Qingtian's face twitched. His fists scrunched up and he spat through gnashed teeth. Stop. I command you all to stop. Not one blood croc minded his rave. They had bigger things to worry about. You moron of elephantine proportions. You're merely a king on earth and can command some of us, but that man is an emperor over everyone. You don't compare. Go home, wash up, and sleep tight. No blood croc who passed him showed any intent of ever stopping, even if he roared himself hoarse. Roar. Huangpu Qingtian was pissed. He released a dragon roar deep enough to resound even through the deaf blood crocs. Zhuo Fan looked on with a quizzical look. Only now did the blood croc stop and look at him. Huangpu Qingtian smiled in joy, having regained some semblance of his regality. But then the blood crocs lowered their heads again and scampered off like naughty children. The man's eyes were bloodshot and his anger exploded. He was a king and no one defied him. Especially not some mongrels. Thump. An iron fist lashed out and blood blossomed. The punch blew up the head of a blood croc. Stop or die? Huangpu Qingtian wailed with his hand dripping blood. Not that it had any effect. The blood crocs didn't give a rat's ass about his commands. In a fit of anger, he blew up 5 more blood crocs, but the beasts took it in a stride, running as fast as their legs could carry them. As anger gave way to despondency, this king found himself dethroned, standing there in absent shock as the blood crocs streamed by. Why won't they listen? I am their king. Huangpu Qingtian muttered under his breath in bewilderment. All this while the blood crocs ignored him. He didn't strike a kingly figure anymore, but that of a beggar now that he had lost his throne. He was a nobody. The rest of the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, foe and ally alike, were watching it all in stunned shock. The day had finally come for the mighty heaven-shaking dragon lord, Huangpu Qingtian, to be lost and despondent. The defiance of his orders thwarted by Zhuo Fan's ability had a far greater impact on this proud and majestic king. It was too much for even him to bear. The watchful shadow from the side sighed. These two are natural enemies. Yet each is a genius seen once every 10,000 years. The death of even one of them would be such a tragedy. Should I take them both? He threw away that thought with a shake of his head and snickered, nah. The world isn't big enough for both of them. Their fight is preordained. It's only a matter of time. The most sensible choice is to let them go at it and pick the winner. Hi. No one knew such a creepy and uncertain element had snuck its way into the esoteric debate. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose, feeling quite disappointed in himself. Young Master Huangpu, don't be so down. There's no shortage of people who had and will lose to me. By the looks of it, I seem to be the winner in this little wager of ours. Will you honor our deal? With all the blood crocs gone, Huangpu Qingtian raised his head to reveal a crazed pair of eyes as he snapped, Humph, my word is gold. What do you take me for, a Welsher? Huangpu Qingtian took out a vial from his chest. Zhuo Fan knew it to have the brimming sacred pill. Huangpu Qingtian was afraid Zhuo Fan would snatch his ring again, so he hid it in his clothes. Any cultivator out there had the means to store their things, be it rings or bags. It was arguably the safest place to keep, unlike on your own body. But Huangpu Qingtian's thinking went the other way around. He chose the most important item to hide on himself. The most dangerous place was also the safest. It even caught Zhuo Fan off guard. Zhuo Fan would never have found it even if he snatched all the storage rings. Zhuo Fan laughed, young Master Huangpu is so crafty. I never saw it coming. I was still of a mind you gave it to that cripple for safekeeping. Humph, you take me for a fool to leave it on him after the first pill? Huangpu Qingtian flicked and the vial flew at Zhuo Fan. Humph, take it. Whoosh. The vial shot through the air, leaving eerie sounds as it passed. Even space shimmered. Zhuo Fan felt a sudden immense pressure slam into his shoulders just as it neared. It even made the likes of him stagger. Startled, Zhuo Fan threw his hand forward to block it. Thump. The impact had him slide 5 meters and even found his arm that caught the vial numb. He was shocked to find what a mere flick could do. No wonder Chu Qingqing and the other two lost against Huangpu Qingtian even though they joined hands. This guy is a monster body cultivator. Besides Gu Santong, he would definitely be the most outstanding talent of the younger generation. Zhuo Fan knew that even his diamond body was a far cry from Huangpu Qingtian's physique. Elderly was right, this guy is a true monster, stronger than me. After this first true contact with Huangpu Qingtian, Zhuo Fan now realized the full extent of the power the head of 6 dragons and 1 phoenix wielded. Chapter 294 Release the Beasts. Chapter 294 Release the Beasts. Whoosh. A black figure blocked Zhuo Fan. He was still staggered from the previous blow when another strike came out of the blue. Squinting, Zhuo Fan blocked the strike with his hand. Boom. The immense power of the strike cracked earth under him, caving it for 100 meters around. But it hardly mattered compared to the pain coming from his arm. It was on the verge of being broken. Astonished, Zhuo Fan found himself face to face with a sinister-looking Huangpu Qingtian, his eyes beaming with murderous intent. Zhuo Fan, I can't let you live. Cackling, Huangpu Qingtian spun a kick into Zhuo Fan's waist, aiming to split him in two. You're the first to ever rile my desire to kill. His brow shuddering, Zhuo Fan faced the sky-splitting leg. Since he couldn't block, he had his right eye flash golden. Instant movement. Whoosh. Huangpu Qingtian had cut Zhuo Fan in half, only to find it was his afterimage. While the man himself got some much-needed distance between them, gasping for breath. He didn't anticipate Huangpu Qingtian would ever resort to sucker punching him. What he did just now must have really pushed the guy's buttons and had now driven him mad with the sole purpose of slaughtering him. The onlookers from farther away were astonished. This was the third time Zhuo Fan and Huangpu Qingtian were at each other's throats. First in Dragon Cloud City, cut short by Dugu Zhantian's meddling. Second was pill stealing, though no one was there to witness exactly how it went down. And as the saying went, third time's the charm. They truly let loose in this round, no holds barred. The result? Zhuo Fan's prospects at winning just hit rock bottom. He was on a total defensive. And if not for that mystical ability of his, he'd be a goner. Huangpu Qingtian's overwhelming dominance crushed Zhuo Fan. Not even Zhuo Fan could face this monster. Gnashing his teeth, Xie Tianshang was tense. Yu Shan, however, was cackling mad. Both sides' leaders had monstrous talent, but when it came to measuring fists, Huangpu Qingtian won by a landslide. Zhuo Fan had no way to fight back. The uninvited guest in the shadows nodded. Huangpu Qingtian has the advantage in body, but Zhuo Fan is far more flexible and crafty. He is better by far. And this is when he isn't even in the profound heaven stage. If the two were of equal cultivation, this fight would have ended a long time ago. Huangpu Qingtian drew the same conclusion, which only fueled his desire to kill to new heights. Zhuo Fan presented himself as a real and tangible threat to him. He never got the same feeling from the other 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, and only looked at them with disdain even when forced to deal with their cooperation. On the other hand, Zhuo Fan was a great threat to him. Even more so now that he saw Zhuo Fan cower the blood croc horde and trampled all over his royal face. It was a wake-up call. That Zhuo Fan was the same as him, qualified to be king. With a cold glint in his eye, Huangpu Qingtian barked, Zhuo Fan, is your art only good at running away? Yep. Zhuo Fan was blunt as a birch stump, not forgetting his evil grin as he counted on his fingers, running, assassination, scouting, spying, and let's not forget my favorite, ring stealing. It has quite wonderful applications, don't you think? That only pissed Huangpu Qingtian off. He was looking to mock the man into attacking. But Zhuo Fan was way too calm, ignoring the cheap taunt and making a kingly comeback. His desire to murder Zhuo Fan on the spot spiked again. The shadow nodded. He knew how to appreciate talents. Detached from everything and looking at things with cool and critical eyes were the makings of a great Aravista. At the same time, Huangpu Qingtian's image fell a notch in his eyes. The shadow slowly began to be partial towards Zhuo Fan, finding him to be the better seed. Taking a deep breath, Huangpu Qingtian found himself in distress. Zhuo Fan was unlike Chu Qingqing and the like. He could come and go as he pleased, with no one to stop him. He was the biggest headache there ever was when made an enemy. That magical art gave him an insurmountable advantage. So Huangpu Qingtian pointed at his allies and barked, what are you gawking at? Kill them already. The trio woke up with a start. Why had they stopped? We gotta box them in. Thus they gave the signal. Luo Yunhai's echelon formation was still shaken from the blood croc horde and their momentum slacked. They were losing. With the enemy surrounding them, the couple thousand army had sunk into despair against the 10,000 enemies. Few were of Chu Qingqing's level to escape, while the rest would find their lives driven into the mud. Panicking, Luo Yunhai commanded, 3-round formation. In an instant the 3 divisions became rotating barrels, blocking the enemy's onslaught. Yu Shan wasn't worried though. This formation was a defensive one. They would just have to whittle them down with numbers. Grinning, the three looked on coldly. Zhuo Fan frowned a bit. As long as his friends were stuck here, he was going nowhere and would sooner or later end up just as dead. Yu Yushan, leading the 10,000 army, not only entrapped Chu Qingqing's group but also bogged down Zhuo Fan, 2 birds with 1 stone. Ha, Zhuo Fan, see how I trample them? Huangpu Qingtian snickered. He was forcing Zhuo Fan to face him. Squinting, Zhuo Fan sported a cold smile. You'd lower yourself to such an extent? Moreover, you'd have done it already if you wanted to. Ah, indeed. I despise them, but now that you're here, things have changed. I'll take great delight in tearing them apart before your very eyes. Zhuo Fan tensed and secretly sighed. Just like he thought. Huangpu Qingtian left them alive, just so he could restrain him. But the cold smile never changed. Young Master Huangpu, do you really think I'd let them drag me down? Oh, but isn't your young master with them as well? Huangpu Qingtian's eyes glinted, having seen through him. He charged for the armies. It was also then when a wind whistled straight for him. This was what he was waiting for. He blocked the kick with his hand, releasing a metallic sound. Looking closer, he found Zhuo Fan eyeing him coldly. He finally decided to attack. Huangpu Qingtian gave a crafty smile from having found Zhuo Fan's Achilles heel. He threw a devastating punch. The blow had the power of a mountain behind it. Zhuo Fan vanished, letting the punch pass him. The earth caved in tens of meters over a kilometer as a result of the massive impact. It kicked up a cloud of dust and shocked even the clashing armies from the immense power display. What power could do this? Zhuo Fan was sweating now. Blocking that would have earned him a quick trip down under. He looked at his friends helplessly, forced to clash this monster head-on. Huangpu Qingtian cackled at the floating Zhuo Fan, filled with scorn. I wonder for how long can you stop my advance? Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and charged. The effect each time was minimal, barely stalling Huangpu Qingtian's progress. His teleports saved him from the worst, but there was no way to escape unscathed. Huangpu Qingtian was inevitable. He royally took one step at a time towards his target as he unleashed his power. The sight of Zhuo Fan being played around like a mouse left the others in despair. Not even their last hope could stop the mighty heaven-shaking Dragon Lord. But only Chu Qingqing saw through it and said nervously, "It's for us. Huangpu Qingtian is forcing Zhuo Fan's hand. We have to get out of here." It dawned on them what a disgrace they were. They became Zhuo Fan's shackles. But how are we supposed to break out when we're outnumbered? What do we do? Luo Yunhai sighed. For even Luo Yunhai to come out empty, it showed how truly desperate a situation they were all in. Chu Qingqing turned to her 2 allies. Have you brought your spiritual beasts? Their eyes lit up, reminded how their houses provided them with some high-level spiritual beasts. They were pressed at every turn all this time that they'd completely forgotten. The 2 nodded. Chu Qingqing smiled and spoke heavily, use our trump cards. Release the beasts and clear a path. Chapter 295 Qiaoer's Appearance. Chapter 295 Qiaoer's Appearance. A bird cry pierced the sky, heralding the appearance of a snow-white beast and plunging the area into a freezer. To the shock of everyone, they found a 5-meter large white eagle looming overhead. It kicked up a snowstorm with each flap of its wings. Biting cold winds pierced the enemies in their charge, slowing them and freezing the hapless. 5th-level spiritual beast, Nether Wind Falcon. Chu Qingqing shouted. Xie Tianshang and Long Xingyun weren't slow either. Roar. The reverberating roar drew one's attention to a 10-meter golden leopard. Its piercing eyes unnerved the staunchest of hearts, ready to pounce on them and maul their flesh. 5th-level spiritual beast, Golden Cloud Leopard. Xie Tianshang shouted. And mine, 5th-level spiritual beast, Heaven-Seething Lava Serpent. Long Xingyun pointed at a 50-meter-long python covered in rocks. Its eyes shooting flames. The descent of 3 5th-level mighty beasts struck fear in the hearts of the enemy. Each one was equal to a Radiant Stage expert. With 3 of them unleashed, the Tri-House Alliance's power was greatly boosted. SSS. The only sensible reaction in the face of such a display was to shirk back. The 3 spiritual beasts started raining havoc within the enemy lines, darting to and fro unhinged. Not even profound heaven experts faced them. As the cries of agony reached the sky, Chu Qingqing's team made a breach, even if that gap was now littered with corpses. Yunhai, use the path to get us out. Chu Qingqing pointed at the clearing. Luo Yunhai was about to do just that, but 3 cold laughs revealed Yu Yushan and his 2 allies looking down on them still. Yu Yushan only mocked them. Chu Qingqing, aren't we all from the 7 houses? You think you're the only ones with pets? Don't take us lightly. Our reserves aren't the least bit weaker than yours. Yu Yushan snapped his fingers and revealed a blazing falcon 30 meters long, 5th level spiritual beast, scorching eagle. Mine as well, 5th level spiritual beast, 100 eyes pestilent spider. Yen Bongi revealed a 50-meter long black as night tarantula. It spewed a thick miasma that cut off the path ahead. Chu Qingqing's group found themselves back at a standstill. Lin Xianfeng snickered at their grave faces. It's time for you to feast your eyes on my 5th level spiritual beast, 9-clawed wind stoat. A sharp wind brushed by and revealed a short 1-meter long skunk bearing its claws at them. The 6 spiritual beasts started fighting with no clear winner in sight. The shockwaves blew away any poor soul too slow to react. These were the ripples from 6 Radiant Stage experts' attacks. Even a profound heaven expert would be sent to his death. The morale began to sink as fear set in. But the most feared were still the 7 houses. Only the likes of them could dish out 5th level spiritual beasts that could fight a Radiant Stage expert to a standstill. The reveal of the 6 spiritual beasts only furthered the tug of war. Yu Yushan's side stayed back in fear of not being dragged into their battle, but Chu Qingqing's group now had no way of breaking out either. It now became clear that they were doomed to wait for Huangpu Qingtian to come reap their lives. Chu Qingqing turned to the others. This stalemate is the worst outcome for us. Does anyone have a 5th level spiritual beast that can help? All she got was eye rolls. What do you take us for? You think we're that well off to raise a 5th level spiritual beast? Chu Qingqing sighed in sorrow while Yu Yushan sighed was having a field day at their expense. The longer this dragged on, the greater the danger. Huangpu Qingtian glanced over satisfied before turning to Zhuofan. I didn't think they would use their trump cards so soon. A shame it changed nothing. Zhuofan frowned and his hand trembled. Haha, worried? Then I will help you feel at ease by not making you waste time on a bunch of soon-to-be corpses. Grinning, Huangpu Qingtian shouted, Flaming Lion King, end them. Roar. The imposing power pierced the hearts of everyone as a flaming winged lion pounced on Chu Qingqing's army. 6th level spiritual beast, Flaming Lion King. They all gasped in fear. None saw it coming that Huangpu Qingtian's spirit animal would be a 6th level spiritual beast. It was going to throw the stalemate in the enemy's favor. The Tri-House Alliance's spiritual beasts shuddered from the lion's roar. Their power cut down, they were pushed back by the other 3 spiritual beasts. We're finished. Chu Qingqing's army was filled with despair and frustration as the savage lion unleashed waves of flame in its path. Even though they'd die either way. Up till now they at least had the chance to take as many as they could down with them. With even some profound heaven experts cherishing the faint hope of survival. But now that the Lion King was here, all hope was lost. Their lives were now waiting for the flames of war to burn them to cinders. Yu Yushan's side laughed. Zhuofan kept on shuddering. He didn't get to act as a twisted and maniacally voice grated his ears. If you leave, who's to hold me back? Huangpu Qingtian cackled. He was having a blast seeing Zhuofan so conflicted. After suffering at his hand for so many times, he finally had vindication. Felt good. Taking a deep breath, Zhuofan found himself in a bind. With 2 threats on a collision course with Chu Qingqing's group, he could only pick one. It was such a nerve-wracking decision that he felt lost regardless of what he picked. But then his thunder ring flickered. Zhuofan felt the impatience and hatred within. Jower. He was startled and perplexed at its impatience. But he soon knew why. Flaming Lion King was the same beast who had killed his mother. Although a different one, the thirst for revenge remained. Its hatred ran bone deep for what it had done to its mother. But how was the young Chower going to fight against the Flaming Lion King? It was only a 4th level spiritual beast. The answer was picked for him as Chower had reached its limit and the thunder ring flickered stronger. Sigh, it's not like it will change anything. Zhuofan gnashed his teeth, having made a decision. Young Master Huangpu, I may not be able to split myself, but what you have, well, so do I. With a snicker, Zhuofan flourished, Come, Chower. In a flash of purple, a purple lightning shot for Flaming Lion King. Chower only had one thing on its mind: revenge. What is that? Yu Yushan peered at the lightning glow. Yen Bongi said, It appears to be a thunder skylark, a 6th level spiritual beast. But why is it purple? What 6th level spiritual beast? He has one too. Lin Shenfeng panicked, won't this end up in a standstill again? Yen Bongi took a closer look before giving a deprecating shake of his head. Relax, that won't happen. This Thunder Skylark is only a chick at the 4th level. It's no match for an adult Flaming Lion King. Besides, an adult Thunder Skylark would fare no better. Lin Shenfeng laughed. Haha, what's up with Zhuofan then? Is he so fed up with his useless spiritual beast that he wants to give it to the Lion King as a snack? That set the other two laughing. While on Chu Qingqing's side, they were hopeful a treacherous man like Zhuofan had to have an amazing spirit animal. Only to feel their hopes crumble at the sight of a young Thunder Skylark, a mere 4th level spiritual beast, and they resumed despairing. Even Zhuofan felt how hopeless it was to even let such a meager support out. With great hope came an equally great disappointment as they all sighed, resigned to their fates. Huangpu Qingtian wasn't about to let this golden chance go and mock the chick as well. Zhuofan, are you that desperate to even send your useless spiritual beast to its death? What can I say? If it wants to die, I can't stop it. Shrugging, Zhuofan didn't seem to care, but the worry in his eyes was unmistakable. Even he didn't know of Qiaoer's power. Common sense dictated that a 4th level spiritual beast wouldn't be considered even a side dish to a 6th level spiritual beast. Qiaoer's chances were between nil and infinitesimal. Catching on to Zhuofan's worry, Huangpu Qingtian capitalized on it to put his own worries to rest. The punk has no overt scheme in play at all. He is on the ropes. That last one made his day and he smiled from ear to ear. In the meantime, Qiaoer was already behind the Flaming Lion King. It had everyone's full attention. Even their breath was caught in their throat at the imminent clash. Chapter 296, Purple Lightning's Superiority. Chapter 296, Purple Lightning's Superiority. Roar. Flaming Lion King's roar grated ears as it showed its dominance. The 6th 5th level spiritual beasts had long stopped to watch. Yu Yushan's group's spiritual beasts bent a knee and bowed their heads before the mighty Lion King. While on Chu Qingqing's side, their spiritual beasts knew when they were overpowered and shuddered as they inched backward again and again. It only worked to further let arrogance get to Flaming Lion King's head, showing a scornful smile. It escaped his notice, or better yet, it brushed off Qiaoer's existence entirely. And it went the same for the other 6 spiritual beasts. What could a 4th level spiritual beast possibly do in this hopeless situation? Chu Qingqing's side spiritual beasts were vexed. It makes no difference even if you come foul. You're dead anyway. While the enemy's beasts looked on with mockery. Chu Qingqing's faction was plunged deeper in despair. If the purple Thunder Skylark instilled a trickle of hope earlier, it was now thoroughly squashed. A spiritual beast's senses were accurate. If they looked down on the chick, then it was clearly worthless. Not that Qiaoer cared what any of them thought of it. It only had eyes for Flaming Lion King. It cried from behind to call out the Lion King with a gaze burning with hatred and thirst for battle. Flaming Lion King swished his head back, glaring at Qiaoer, itching to eat it and quench its anger. You dare challenge me? Qiaoer's plumes flickered and purple sparks traveled all over it. If that wasn't clear enough, then the thick bloodthirst made it abundantly obvious it wanted the Lion King's head on a platter. The Lion King was royally pissed when Qiaoer didn't stop its cries. You wretched and filthy whelp, no Thunder Skylark can match me, but you, a chick, thinks it can? For you to challenge my authority, the punishment is death. Roar. With another angry roar, Flaming Lion King started showing its violent side. The frightened 6 spiritual beasts were already meek, not even squawking. Qiaoer was the only exception. Its eyes were fixed on the bronze lion and its screeches never stopped taunting it. The fully incensed Flaming Lion King opened its maw and spewed a 3-meter big fireball. Not even a profound heaven expert could block such a blow. He'd be turned to ashes. Everyone watched on edge, worried for the Thunder Skylark's fate. Xuaningxiang was panicking, turning to Xie Tianyang. Brother Tianyang, Big Brother's was bird looks so pitiful. Please save it. What? Cold sweat filled the silent Xie Tianyang. He turned to the unbearably naive Xuaningxiang with an aggrieved look. Ninger, if the bird is pitiful, I am even more so. Have you forgotten our time in All Beast Mountain Range of the fight between Flaming Lion King and Thunder Skylark? Now you are asking me to save a 4th level spiritual beast when I am nowhere near as strong as a 6th level spiritual beast? But, It's just so pitiful. Xuaningxiang was saddened. Xie Tianyang shook his head, blamed Zhuo Fan. He knows it too yet insists on sending it to its death. His words got nods from all around him, puzzled as to why Zhuo Fan took this reckless course of action. Zhuo Fan himself tightened his fists from worry. Chower, you are the embodiment of lightning and faster than Flaming Lion King. You must dodge. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. You must be thinking Flaming Lion King can't catch up to Thunder Skylark's speed, right? Haha, have you forgotten whose spirit animal the Lion King is? Huangpu Qingtian gave Flaming Lion King a look. Flaming Lion King nodded and flapped its wings. A blazing tornado engulfed tiny Chower, sealing all means of escape, just as the fireball approached. With its biggest advantage sealed, its fate was without a doubt certain death. Zhuo Fan panicked inside. How is the brash and overbearing Flaming Lion King capable of such refined skill? Haha, you have a spirit animal and you don't know? Unlike spiritual beasts, a master can teach and train its pet martial arts according to their attributes. As I and Flaming Lion King are weak in speed, I devised this move to deal with quick enemies. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. Zhuo Fan's anger swelled. He had always been a lone wolf. And since he never raised spirit animals before, he was oblivious to its implications. Now he didn't even have the time to regret. This was Chower's decision and all he could do was support it. All consequences were for it to bear. This was the demonic path he treaded. He hatched Chower from a mere egg and was practically kin. Of course it would walk the same path as him. Boom. The fireball exploded on Chower. It combined with the fire tornado in a tremendous bang, releasing a torrent of flames. Xuaningxiang clutched her ears, ducking behind Xie Tianyang in fear as she observed the flaming explosion in dismay. The others sighed. Here lie the bones of an overconfident creature. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth, refraining from looking and clenched his fists further. Huangpu Qingtian beamed. He wasn't in the habit of letting an opponent's weakness pass by, making sure to drive home as much hurt as he could muster through his condescending, Zhuo Fan, you truly are empty inside. To even send that young spirit animal to its death. Boom. A thunder cut his mockery short. It came from within the fiery blaze. Purple lightning streaked the skies and pulverized the flames into nothing. Chower was revealed at the center of the purple lightning, its eyes were raging as before, bent on killing the Lion King where it stood. How in God's name is that possible? Shock and awe was prevalent down below. The worst off were the 6th, 5th level spiritual beasts. Not in a million years had they considered it possible for a 4th level spiritual beast to survive the Lion King's head-on assault. What skill is that? Huangpu Qingtian was no different. Since when did Thunder Skylark have such a skill? Zhuo Fan looked at the sky and frowned, only to see Chower wrapped in a purple cocoon of lightning. The errant purple lightning hammered the flames and evaporated at mere touch. Zhuo Fan was speechless. He found the purple shield familiar and realized where it came from. It was the same as Lightning Canyon's protective barrier. Is it? He didn't complete his thought as Chower was on the move again. Chower called out Flaming Lion King once again. But it wasn't all talk now, releasing its all in the upcoming clash. Purple lightning snaked from its body, twisting space itself. The pressure grew from such a mighty display, to the point it felt as if the end of days was upon them. The 5th level spiritual beasts weren't the only ones terrified of the imminent danger. Even humans found Chower dreadful. Why is a 4th level spiritual beast far more dangerous than a 6th level one? Even Flaming Lion King squinted, moving backward with a grave face. Who'd have thought the same Thunder Skylark he slighted would unleash such power? Long Xingyun's side was dumbfounded. They were more than a little familiar with Chower's power. Little Kuei, little Jia, don't you find that lightning? Long Xingyun stared wide-eyed. Long Kuei nodded. Yes, it's Uncle Jio's purple lightning. But, far stronger. Long Xingyun gasped, shocked to the extreme. He had never dreamed he'd ever see the might of God Eye Long Jio, the power he was famed for, purple lightning God Eye, being displayed here and on a far greater scale and power. On a spiritual beast no less. Huangpu Qingtian was completely floored. Zhuo Fan, that's a Thunder Skylark. In the flesh. The one I reared myself. Zhuo Fan grinned, sponging off another's achievements without even a twitch. He pointed at the lion and barked, Chower, put an end to that eyesore. Ding. Its pair of eyes shone with bloodthirst as Chower's sharp claws glinted. with a flap of its lightning wings, it zoomed for Flaming Lion King like a thunder god. All eyes were on Steward. The next moment, the entire sky flashed purple and people's hearts seized. Chapter 297, Turning the Tide. Chapter 297, Turning the Tide. Elite Coder. Roar. This time people found the shout a bit off. One could feel the haughtiness subside and even detect a hint of fear. Flaming Lion King's shaking body kept moving backwards as it stared at incoming purple lightning. Franticness touched its eyes and it started spitting fireballs and flapped its wings to keep the dreaded purple lightning at bay. Fireballs dozens of meters big flew out accompanied by blazing tornadoes. Anything to stop Steward. This power was enough to sunder earth and burn the sky. The 6th 5th level spiritual beasts had long since cowered away in fear. The power of a 6th level spiritual beast. However, Steward was relentless. Lightning streaked its body as it slipped through the cracks in the flames, arriving 5 meters from the Flaming Lion King and coming face to face with a firestorm. Its eyes squinted and whirled. It charged through, with the purple lightning wrapped around it acting as a drill, piercing the flames and rendering them void. Boom. The struck fireballs exploded in a spectacular fashion. Flaming Lion King was beside itself in fear, and the next thing it knew was its reflection in Steward's cold eyes. Steward ran through Flaming Lion King's chest before he could even think about dodging. Scarlet blood gushed from the hole like a flood. Flaming Lion King was watching its wound paralyzed. It, a great 6th level spiritual beast, had actually found its end at the claws of a young thunder skylark, a 4th level spiritual beast, in one move. Its eyes grew heavy, its body colder, evident from the flickering flames over its body. Flaming Lion King felt itself slipping into the dark abyss. Yet it still wanted to go on. However, the hole in his chest was too great and he soon found his sight go black before collapsing. SSS. Gasping, the crowd never saw it coming. A 4th level spiritual beast killing a 6th level spiritual beast? Ridiculous. Zhuofan was just as shocked. Steward had exceeded his expectations. Especially that killing blow. The average Thunder Skylark didn't have such skills. Thunder Skylark was a mild 6th level spiritual beast. It only knew to use its lightning to cover its body in defense, but never to focus it into an attacking skill. This was where Steward differed from the norm. It used the 4th heaven purple lightning and even comprehended 2 skills, one for defense and another for attack. It was uncontested proof of its sentience. Other spirit animals like Flaming Lion King were trained in skills by humans, while Steward picked them up by itself. The difference was obvious, like comparing heaven and earth. And what did it mean if a spiritual beast gained sentience? The chance to evolve into a sacred beast. This had never happened among spiritual beasts, nor the appearance of someone like Steward either. A never-before-seen spiritual beast born from purple lightning. Zhuofan did not yet know where the purple lightning came from. He was still debating if the Heavenly Emperor created it or obtained it somehow. But one thing he did know was purple lightning wasn't just sparkles to instill such fear into even the likes of sacred beasts. Steward had bathed in this almighty power and had a high chance of evolving. The last thought really got his blood flowing. Am I going to have a sacred beast spirit animal? While he was in his own little world, the others were dazed, the 6th 5th level spiritual beasts included. They all looked wide-eyed at the purple figure. Who knew a 4th level spiritual beast ever had it in him to kill a 6th level spiritual beast? Surely not them. Not to mention it was overkill how it happened. This is insane. Illogical, absurd. It went beyond human and beast comprehension alike. Neither side was capable of staring truth in the face. Huangpu Qingtian was the prime example. Seeing his strongest spirit animal killed like nothing, it had messed up the mind of this poor king. What the hell is that thing? Everyone was so out of it and looking at the slight figure in the air until... Steward flapped its wings celebrating its conquest. The cry pierced through the people's haze, but the fear still lingered. The little guy is Zhuofan's equivalent in the spiritual beast world. A monster. Sigh, like master, like pet. The people lamented, watching the purple figure in envy. Zhuofan's eyes shined. Steward, clear a path for them to break free. The crowd was in complete shock. While only Yu Yushan's side was panicking. That thing is stronger than a 6th level spiritual beast. Clearing a path meant going through them. Chu Qingqing's side was jubilant and Zhuofan's image grew in their hearts. That's our Zhuofan. He always pulls through for us. Chower complied with his order and dived. He began by peppering the 3 5th-level spiritual beasts with purple lightning. Boom! The lightning smashed down like hail, forcing the spiritual beasts to scatter to and fro in fear. Where did this freak come from? And why is this abnormality set on us? Yu Yushan's side was nervous. It wouldn't be long before their beasts would be bombarded to pieces. All the crying in the world wouldn't bring them back then. Robbed of any choice, in fear and anxiety, Yu Yushan's side recalled their spiritual beasts. As long as Chower was looming overhead, no one dared take their spirit animal out ever again. Having lost its targets, Chower flew around unhinged, releasing purple lighting like a veritable thunderstorm and killing all in its path. Cries of horror pierced the sky and the ears of Yu Yushan and his 2 allies as they scattered for cover in their lives. Who the hell had the time to keep Chu Qingqing in a deadlock? Luo Yunhai soon found their path cleared and just strutted out like the enemy wasn't even there. Quite understandable when the same enemy was now screaming and running for their lives. The eyes on Chower were that of awe, shock and fear. Looking at it dominating the battlefield with its power and valor left them sighing. If Zhuo Fan's spirit animal could turn the tide so easily, why didn't he take it out from the start? How were they supposed to know Zhuo Fan had no clue of Chower's true might? You'd think he'd keep it stashed away instead of showing off otherwise. Xie Tianyang looked lost, his face stiff. Ninger, do you still find the bird pitiful? With a veritable symphony of screams and wails gracing her ears, Xuaningxiang went beet red as she said, no, but the men facing it sure are. Everything that Zhuo Fan throws out is insane. Not even his pet is normal. Xie Tianyang sighed. Just how did he do it? How the hell did he raise such a monstrous spiritual beast? Enough chatter. We need to get out of here first. Chu Qingqing snapped, then gave a nod to Luo Yunhai who signaled, charge. With Chower providing cover fire, they breezed through the enemy lines. No one wanted to stop them either, not unless they wanted to be left smoking and sizzling after a bath of purple lightning. Huangpu Qingdan stared wide-eyed at the escaping prey and raved, a bunch of useless mongrels dare foil my plans? You have another thing coming. Haha, what if you include me? Whoosh. Zhuo Fan popped up before him and kicked his face. Huangpu Qingdan mocked, Humph, you think you can stop me? The only reason you've lived so far is because I was toying with you. You truly believe me to be this weak? Huangpu Qingtian's punch this time left the impression of a rock 50 meters tall crashing down on Zhou Fan. Bam. Yet when the 2 attacks clashed, Zhuo Fan's leg flickered purple. A boom resounded as Huangpu Qingtian felt an incredible force stagger him. Followed closely by Zhuo Fan's evil grin, haha, who wasn't? Boom. Huangpu Qingtian was forced back 5 steps. Zhuo Fan didn't let him recover and punched this time, his hand wrapped in purple lightning. Young Master Huangpu, we're the same you and I. None of us will use our aces until the last moment. Squinting, Zhuo Fan's smirk widened and he hammered Huangpu Qingtian's chest. Huangpu Qingtian rushed his hand to defend. Boom. Another powerful blast revealed purple lightning streaking across the ground, now disintegrated in 1,000 meters range. His punch was not one bit less than Huangpu Qingtian's earlier strike. Chapter 298 All's within my grasp. Chapter 298 All's within my grasp. As dust billowed, the boom traveled 1,000 miles. Yu Yushan's side couldn't pierce the veil of dust and were beside themselves with shock. Who knew Zhuo Fan was capable of such power? So much so that it almost overwhelmed Huangpu Qingtian. The worry was prevalent in all, but none ventured forth to clarify it. They were too afraid to interfere between soaring demonic dragon and heaven-shaking dragon lord's deathmatch. When the dust settled, all they saw was a mess. When they double-checked the 2 were nowhere in sight, they scrunched up the little courage they had and investigated the disaster. But the sudden explosion scared them back. Looking at the source, they found Huangpu Qingtian shooting from the ground, wretched and dirty. He may look unseemingly, but there was no apparent wound on him. The shock was palpable at Huangpu Qingtian's state. Taking into account the force behind that fist, yet him coming out unharmed in the least, surged them with joy and admiration. Eldest young master, you're okay? Yu Yushan's gang dashed over. Taking a deep breath, Huangpu Qingtian's eyes glinted coldly, but he wasn't looking at them. Where's Zhuo Fan? The 3 were confused until Yu Yushan came forth with a bow. Eldest young master, Zhuo Fan's punch unleashed a cloud of smoke. Once the dust finally settled, we only saw the eldest young master appear. We saw no trace of him. I suspect he has already fled. Brow shuddering, Huangpu Qingtian spread his discerning field for a more precise investigation. Certain that Zhuofan was gone, he said, and Chu Qingqing's group. Blushing, the three hanged their heads. Forgive us, eldest young master. We let them escape. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes flashed icily. Reeling, the three broke out in sweat. They wished for Huangpu Qingtian's cursing so badly right now. At least it would vent some of his anger. Anything was better than this eerie silence. The fear of not knowing his thinking was only mounting. One day Huangpu Qingtian may very well be so angry as to strike them down. The three shuddered in horror, trying to scour for a gesture, anything that betrayed his state of mind. Huangpu Qingtian kept silent for a long time before finally smiling. Let them run. It won't change anything. The three were stunned, having never seen Huangpu Qingtian like this and didn't know how to react. Wait, is this the same cold-blooded eldest young master? Not only did his scheme come apart at the seams, but he also lost a brimming sacred pill and a 6th-level spirit animal. No to mention he invested so much effort in this plan too, but even after gaining nothing from it, he isn't flying into a rage? Am I dreaming? Did he flip? Baffled by the sudden turn of events, they looked on at him in bewilderment. Like he was a different man. Easily picking up on their thoughts, Huangpu Qingtian showed a vague smile. Don't forget our mission in this battle. How can we? It's the position as head of the 7 houses. Lin Shenfeng let it slip. Having nothing but scorn for the man, Huangpu Qingtian shook his head. Regent Estate has been the head for 1,000 years, and not because of this child's play, but by raw power. We don't need this insipid game to prove anything. Not now, not ever. Huangpu Qingtian instilled fear in each one of them with his declaration. That's the Regent Estate we know, unchanged for 1,000 years. Is it for brimming sacred pills then? Yu Shan ventured. Grinning, Huangpu Qingtian shook his head again. Brimming sacred pill is a rare 8th-grade pill that even the Regent Estate covets. However, that is hardly our goal. Then please enlighten us, eldest young master. Yanbongyi bowed. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes burst with coldness as he clenched his crackling fist. Zhuofan. What? The crowd was in complete shock. Sure, Zhuofan was like a disease, but the esoteric debate was held once a century to settle the power struggle between the clans. Yet he was saying that Regent Estate only joined because of one man. Aren't you overthinking things? His cold eyes swept the crowd, lingering longer on his 3 allies. Then Huangpu Qingtian clarified their doubts. Do you believe Zhuofan and esoteric debate to be 2 separate matters? Despite everyone avoiding his powerful and steady gaze, there were nods. Humph, ignorance. Huangpu Qingtian mocked. Fools? You have that wretched mentality that says he is only a talented cultivator, that you will sooner or later put him down with the power of your houses. What if I tell you that as long as he's around, Luo clan will stand abreast the 7 houses in 10 years, surpass us in 20, and in 30, it will be the strongest clan in Tianyu that not even all 7 houses together can oppose. Will you still think this esoteric debate to be nothing but a boring game? This can't be. This was too much to bear. Yu Shan was even denying it as he second-guessed Huangpu Qingtian's words. Eldest young master, aren't you exaggerating? The legacy of the 7 houses is 1,000 years old. He won't reach our level in a century, not to mention decades. Humph, exaggerate? Haha, if it was me saying that, your reaction would be inexcusable, albeit understandable. However, the crowd was hanging on every one of his words. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. What if it came from Sir Lung? Would you doubt the words of a cunning man with ineffable plans like the unwanted contriver? What? Lung Wuchang said that? They just got the shock of their lives. For even Lung Wuchang to say that, it meant the prediction had to be true. They just couldn't wrap their head around how Zhuofan being a monster gifted with such godlike skills. Huangpu Qingtian smiled at their skepticism. Sir Lung said he is of incredible talent, equal to Zhuge Changfeng. He only needs to grasp power and he will soar beyond anyone's reach. That is why we need to clip his wings before he can fully spread them. Or the 7 houses will soon be no more. Shame drifting flowers edifices, veiled dragon pavilion and sword marquise abode are too blind to see it. They are playing with fire standing behind him and will find one day robbed of everything. But the Luo clan is under the imperial family's protection, and they have Dugu Zhantian for support. We are without means to strike him down in any other circumstances. The only way to eradicate him is to do it within the bounds of the esoteric debate. Huangpu Qingtian turned his bloodthirsty eyes to them. That is why our main mission in the esoteric debate is to get Zhuofan's head. Everything else is secondary. The others turned grave, realizing Huangpu Qingtian had finally revealed Regent Estate's real objective for the esoteric debate. But this was nigh impossible to achieve. Harder than gathering the brimming sacred pills and facing spiritual beasts. After witnessing Zhuofan's mystical abilities, they came to realize that he was unrivaled beneath the radiant stage. Even the heaven-shaking Dragon Lord, the strongest of 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, had allegedly barely overpowered him. But when they thought about ignoring him, that was an absolute no. Or Huangpu Qingtian would have turned him into a bloody damn smear by now. Why waste so much time explaining it to us? Eldest young master, how are we to go about purging Zhuofan? Our best chance was when we had everyone cornered and Zhuofan was forced to stay. But now they will be on guard and make it even harder. Yu Shan sighed. Grinning, Huangpu Qingtian said, that was our best chance? Merely bait. The punk has bit on it and all that is left is to wait for the poison to take its effect. Everyone was clueless. Ignoring them, Huangpu Qingtian turned towards where Chu Qingqing's group was last seen. They thought they'd escaped when in fact they fell right for it. Not even the cunning Zhuofan has hope of breaking out of Sir Lung's personally designed master plan. Relax, all's within my grasp. The others shuddered, clueless as to what got into him. And since Sir Lung intervened himself, then this should be a done deal. Sir Lung was hailed as the #1 schemer with a 0 fail rate. The shadow tailing them was startled. I've heard of Tianyu's unwanted contriver, but never imagined he will lower himself to deal with a junior. Heaven-shaking Dragon Lord is talented and powerful, but now he even has Lung Wuchang behind him. Zhuofan, you are up against peak experts in both brawn and brains. If you fail, it's only fair I discard you. But if you win, you just became a hot commodity, he. Chapter 299 Array Map. Chapter 299 Array Map. Rustle. A shadow streaked the sky, flashing in and out of view every mile. When he finally stopped, he had crossed tens of miles, listening to the ruckus a few miles out. He just gave a nod, more to himself, and was gone again. The final appearance was in the middle of the group. Who? Xie Qianshang shouted, sword at the ready. He saw everyone look on with joy. Oh, you're finally back. Yeah, so what are you standing with your weapon drawn for? Put it away, will you? Zhuofan rolled his eyes. Xie Qianshang shook his head as he did just that. Brother Zhuo is right. I wish to learn a lot from you in a spar, but it doesn't seem appropriate to do it in the middle of a crisis. Zhuofan's face twitched. That's a martial fanatic for you. His mind is ever skewed in thinking fighting came first. At least he isn't a lost cause and a complete battle maniac yet. Zhuofan's return was met with jubilation all around, as if he had become the true winner of that little skirmish back there. Even the vassals forgot about their true masters and they looked up at him in reverence. It was only a matter of time. With the 3 houses now willing to follow Zhuofan's every word, it was obvious who the little clans would choose. Zhuofan's earlier turning point was the crux. If not for his timely help in clearing a path, they would have been mowed down. They had witnessed it themselves. It was no wonder he was hailed as a savior. Zhuofan's image soared in their minds. Zhuofan, are you hurt? Chu Qingqing came over. She saw the light scratches and spoke softly. Her face was calm, but the eyes spoke volumes of the deep care and worry she had for him. Zhuofan brushed it off and switched topics. It's fine. But Huangpu Qingtian isn't a pushover. Oh, what of Ning'er and my spirit animal? Chu Qingqing dimmed, knowing he didn't want to talk about it. She was so aggrieved for not being able to make sense of his thinking. Dong Qianba graced her with a thorough analysis of Zhuofan's heart's ranking, but it was just that, guesswork. In the end, only Zhuofan knew what he was thinking. And this got Chu Qingqing vexed the most. Any woman wished to know if the one they loved thought about her the most. Then there's Zhuofan, who was always so vague and dodgy that no one could get a single clue what went on in that big brain of his. Brother Zhuo, your spirit animal is so fierce none of us dare even approach. What is even stranger, it seems to have taken a particular liking to young Miss Shui and second young Master Xie. Look for yourself. Long Xingyun smiled and pointed above. Zhuofan was dumbstruck. He saw a purple lightning drifting through the clouds. And on Shower's back was a man and woman having a blast. Who else but Xuaningxiang and Xie Tianyang? Zhuo Fan felt depressed at their entertainment. A thunder skylark is a high-level spiritual beast, so what is it doing getting so attached to strangers? But then it dawned on him. Xuaningxiang and Xie Tianyang wore thunder rings he refined from Qiaoer's mother. They held its mother's scent. Such an outcome was obvious. Shaking his head, Zhuo Fan sighed, fate, I guess. That threw the others off. Qiaoer noticed Zhuo Fan and chirped cheerfully. Seeing where they were flying, Xuaningxiang waved, Big brother Zhuo, welcome back. Only Xie Tianyang's mood sank. Here comes the third wheel. Smiling, Zhuo Fan gestured for Qiaoer to come next to him. Xuaningxiang jumped off the bird and skipped over with rosy cheeks and a sweet smile. Big brother Zhuo, is it the same thunder skylark young we found in All Beast Mountain Range? Yeah. I got it to hatch. Zhuo Fan ruffled her hair. Xuaningxiang bobbed her head and treated Qiaoer as seeing an old friend. How adorable, just like its mother. Her words set the crowd off in a round of twitching. Zhuo Fan wasn't exempt. If there was anyone among them who'd call Qiaoer adorable, then that would be the ever-naive Xuaningxiang. They recalled with dread how Qiaoer flew in a circle once and blasted experts to smithereens. How in hell is that adorable? They all went silent, having no clue how to break it. Qiaoer's sharp cry and piercing eyes raised everyone from their stupor to demand, You dare say I'm not? Go on, make my day. Shivering, they all bobbed their heads, completing the image with a bright smile and a soaked back. Having got its wish, Qiaoer chirped and gave Xuaningxiang a smile. Zhuo Fan shook his head at how fast the beast and girl had hit it off. Is Qiaoer taking Ning'er as its mother? Zhuo Fan's cheeks went ablaze as his mind spun. He was Qiaoer's dad and Ning'er its mom. Then he and Ning'er. Oi, Zhuo Fan, how the hell have you been raising it? It's no less monster than you are. Mind giving it to me? Xie Tianyang showed his greedy side. That caught Xie Tianxiang's attention, looking at Zhuo Fan expectantly. He wasn't thinking what an asset such a strong spiritual beast would be to Sword Marquis's abode. Oh no, he only saw the spiritual beast as an endless sparring partner to hone his edge. Martial fanatic. Did one need to say more? Zhuo Fan arched an eyebrow. What do you think? No. Xie Tianyang's face twitched. Then cut the crap. Zhuo Fan glared. Who in their right mind would give away a potential sacred beast? He didn't have a screw loose. Xie Tianyang shrugged, just saying. Geez, can't you take a joke? Though the envy had yet to fade from his eyes every time he saw Qiaoer, the spirit animal was just too damn overpowered. Just the fact that Zhuo Fan had such an insane spirit animal was enough to spur Sword Marquis's abode's desires. Xie Tianyang saw Xuaningxiang cuddling Qiaoer and his heart sank. Though no one noticed. Once the pleasantries were over and done with, it was time to return to the grim and bitter reality. Brother Zhuo, what do we do now? Long Xingyun asked. Zhuo Fan muttered, Our main priority is to find the keys and exit stones. To leave this place at once. We'll just ignore brimming sacred pills as life is far more precious. I can search for them myself if I have to. The words cut deep and they sighed with hanged heads. He didn't need to be so blunt about it for them to understand. They were dead weights, pure and simple. The earlier battle was proof enough. They were the reason for Zhuo Fan's limited actions. If he was alone he could come and go as he wished. They all turned bleak but knew the truth in Zhuo Fan's words. In this battle, they had no advantage whatsoever and would sooner or later end up as Huangpu Qingtian's pawns in this damnable place if they lingered. None spoke as they watched Zhuo Fan gloomily. Xie Tianxiang broke the silence with his sigh, We still want to fight, but brother Zhuo is right. With how weak we are, it's better we leave. Long Xingyun, take it out. We and brother Zhuo need to consult on the best way to leave this place. Zhuo Fan looked at them puzzled. Do they have a secret weapon? Easing a breath, Long Xingyun revealed a piece of silk. I am a man living in the present. I do not care as much about the esoteric debate as brother Xie does. But going home in such a wretched state is not what I want to see. Zhuo Fan unfolded the silk and cried, Beast King Mountains Array Exit Map. On the detailed map, 5 points stood out, the 5 national elemental stones meant to take them home. With the yin-yang metal keys, all they had to do now was get to the metal exit and they'd be home free. Zhuo Fan stared at the others. Can it be trusted? Long Xingyun spoke seriously. That's what we would like to know by consulting you. With a shout, some profound heaven experts were hoisting 2 scared people over. At the sight of them, Zhuo Fan sported an odd look as he said, You again. The two were bitter and shuddered on the ground with lowered heads. Chapter 300 Battle of the Mines. Chapter 300 Battle of the Mines. Kai shouting, Sun Yufei, didn't I tell you to beat it home? What are you doing here and captives again no less? Zhuofan mocked them for all their little worth. The two kneeled there bitterly and wretched, not once making eye contact with Zhuofan. Long Xingyun said startled, Brother Zhuo, you know them? Meet the Luo clan traitors. His father was an elder in the clan and even close to the old clan head. Despite their transgression, Yunhai had a good heart and spared them. Zhuofan shrugged, Oh, and why did you capture them? Don't you know killing them is far easier? Long Xingyun gasped then said solemnly, To tell you the truth, we stumbled upon them not long after we escaped the Killing Blood Marsh. I wasn't planning on sparing them, but we found this map on them as well as 2 keys and a brimming sacred pill. Ahem. Long Kuei's signal came a tad too late however. The damage was done. Long Xingyun now realized the error of his ways. Telling him about the map and keys was enough. What was I thinking bringing up the brimming sacred pill? Zhuofan perked up at the mention of those 3 little words and his eyes practically shined. Brother Long, what of the vial? We found it. I realize that, but won't it be safer with me? Zhuofan's demonic smile came next, followed by a genial smile. What if it were to fall in Huangpu Qingtian's hands? That would be awful. We can't have everyone's interests be laid to waste because of one man, now do we? Zhuofan's righteous speech didn't forget to include the public interest. Long Xingyun lost the moral high ground and handed the pill in defeat. He had hoped to enter the radiant stage with this pill, but now, that ship had sailed. Long Xingyun wished he could tear his running mouth off. How could he be so stupid? Xie Tianyang and Long Kuei knew Zhuofan's character the best and only had sighs of pity. Once it's in Zhuofan's clutches, there's no getting it back. With a gratified flash of light, Zhuofan tucked the pill in the safety of his ring. He looked at the despondent Long Xingyun even more pleased. With 3 brimming sacred pills in the bag, ring only the last one was left and he'd have milked the esoteric debate dry. Finding 2 extra keys on Long Xingyun as well were the icing on the cake. It just so happened that he had a pair of keys as well. He could already open the fire and earth exits now. He could now leave this place whenever he wished with his spoils. Victory was at hand. The only problem was punching through Huangpu Qingtian's blockades. Alone he'd be home by now. But with so many people dragging their feet behind him. Zhuofan's eyes landed on the kneeling duo. Brother Long fears the map may be a trap. That is what I assume, yes. Long Xingyun brushed past Zhuofan's open appropriation of his wealth and said, They say as early as 2 weeks ago, Huangpu Qingtian sent them in search of the keys to have full control of the battlefield. But I still feel this is too much of a coincidence. We just got out of danger yet met with these 2 who had the map we wanted. The more I think about it the more I suspect it. That is why I had them on a leash until Brother Zhuo returned to discuss it. Zhuofan nodded inside. Long Xingyun was sloppy by nature, but he had a good head on his shoulders at least. The array map was clearly dubious, but for this fleeing group, it held absolute interest. The odds for a trap waiting for them was most likely certain. Even if he absolutely knew about it being a trap, its value outweighed the risks. This is one bait I can't refuse. Zhuofan squinted at the pair. You better answer my every question. If I found out you're lying, I'll make it so even death would be your most cherished wish. The 2 shuddered but nodded, the fear had them soaked in sweat. Zhuofan began, Did Huangpu Qingtian make you wait for us? And no. Like we said, we stumbled upon you as we searched for the exits. There's nothing else to it. Kai shouting blurted. Zhuofan stared him down. The man was frantic, but finding no lies he continued, Did you make this map after finding the arrays? No, the arrays are too spread out. It's impossible for us to find them. Kai shouting shook his head. Fearing Zhuofan would find his answer lacking, he rushed with, There were 5 teams of us, each with its own area to search. We used a jade slip to keep in touch and made the map. What of the 2 keys and pill? We found them along the way. We used to have 2 pills, but a profound heaven expert stole one to take the credit and you took the last one. Kai shouting was heartbroken, his voice trailing off. How could we be so down on our luck? The 2 pills were our promise to greatness. But at some point, their other profound heaven expert team member took one for himself and when they thought the other was enough to get something good, they ran into these guys. Forget about merits when we're having enough trouble keeping our heads. The two fell deeper in despair. Zhuo Fan saw them squirm and nodded. Long Xingyun added, Brother Zhuo, what if this is a trap as well? There's no need to say it. They were once part of the Luo clan and understand them enough to know if they lie. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. Long Xingyun and the rest were overjoyed. That validated the map as being genuine. They could survive this. Zhuo Fan shook his head however, don't be so quick to celebrate. The map could still be fake. What? The crowd was stunned. Grinning, Zhuo Fan revealed a deep gaze. They are truthful, yes, but that doesn't guarantee Huangpu Qingtian was honest to them as well. Now they looked puzzled as to why Zhuo Fan was still smiling. Doesn't that make this map useless? In another place, Huangpu Qingtian pointed at an identical map Zhuo Fan had. Yu Yushan, you will set up an ambush at the metal exit. Yen Bangyi, you will stake out the fire exit. Me and Lin Shenfeng will be watching the earth one. Remember what I said. Others do not matter, but one person has to breathe their last at all costs. Make sure they die in excruciating pain and suffering. The three felt uneasy. Eldest young master, we understand your wish. But will killing this person have any effect on Zhuo Fan? Yu Yushan frowned. With how we handed the exits locations along with keys and even a brimming sacred pill, they can now flee without worry. Wouldn't it have been better to give them a fake map? With an evil grin, Huangpu Qingtian mocked, Imbecile, you think you can fool Zhuo Fan's cunningness with a fake one. But, isn't he far too paranoid to believe even the real one? Yen Bangyi frowned. Huangpu Qingtian smiled, all the more reason why we gave him everything to believe. Even the two prisoners are real. The two were purposefully kept in the dark, limiting their knowledge to the array map, keys and pill. It's all because my men guided them from the shadows. Their words are without a doubt genuine. He will never realize we'd even lie to our men also we could trap him. No matter how shrewd he is, he will never get one falsity out of those two. The others lit up, with Lin Shenfeng giving a thumbs up in his flattery. Eldest young master is wise. Versed in pen and sword. Humph, this is part of Sir Lung's plan. I have nothing to do with it. Huangpu Qingtian shook his head, holding the very last brimming sacred pill vial in his hand. Yu Yushan looked at it with a sigh. Of our 3 pills, we only have 1. What are you so worried about? With Zhuo Fan's greedy nature, he won't be satisfied with just 3. He will want the last one as well. We just have to deal with him and the others will be easy pickings. Huangpu Qingtian sneered, follow the plan and we will have the 3 vials as well as his head. Ha ha ha. Huangpu Qingtian's cackle got everyone excited. The operation to eradicate soaring demonic dragon was a go. Chapter 301 Mo. Chapter 301 Mo. A group of people were resting in the dense forest, while Long Xingyun, Xie Tianshang, Chu Qingqing and Zhuo Fan inspected a map. Long Xingyun was the first to speak. Brother Zhuo, do you see something wrong with the map to call it a fake? None whatsoever. Be it the captives or the map, they are both beyond reproach. Zhuo Fan shook his head and his gaze hardened, but there's no way I'd take it for granted when something so good just comes and falls into my lap. It goes double for something we need the most. Silence pervaded for a while, then Chu Qingqing ventured, maybe, we do not need this map. We could go opposite dash. Who says we don't need it? Zhuo Fan butted in with a smile, if it's real that turns it into a trap. This makes it worth using it. Since they went out of their way to plan against us, we'll just beat them to the punch. The others didn't know where he was going with this, so Zhuo Fan held out the 3 sending jades. He left a message on them, then left one to each of them with a crafty smile, wait for 5 days then read it. Zhuo Fan jumped to his feet and barked, listen up. We're moving out. Form 3 divisions around the 3 houses and split up for the 3 exits. Split up. Why make them weaker than they already were? Zhuo Fan handed over the exit keys and said, yes, split up. With our size it's very easy to be spotted. Smaller teams will allow us to move unnoticed. In the case of an enemy encounter it would also be simple to flee and hide among the thick trees. While others nodded, Chu Qingqing pulled Zhuo Fan to the side. What if the map is fake and the exits hold nothing but traps? We won't know unless we try. We finally got an exit route as well. Even if we clash a few more times in the Beast King Mountain it will be easy to escape while whittling down their bone-tempering experts' number. It will end with them being reduced to nothing. This is our best bet. Zhuo Fan put on a smile and turned to the rest. Each team will send out 3 profound heaven experts to scout 30 miles ahead, reporting back on the hour. Understood. They all replied, and Zhuo Fan said to Chu Qingqing, even if they meet a trap, they can get an early notice. Glaring at him, Chu Qingqing shook her head, you're full of tricks. As they all got ready to set off, Luo Yunhai's team followed behind Drifting Flowers edifices just as Long Xingyun brought the 2 prisoners. What do we do with them? Let them go. Zhuo Fan spoke coldly. The others whipped their heads around in shock. Long Xingyun was the most affected. They'll betray our plan if they're found. It will happen regardless. Recall what happened in Killing Blood Marsh? We have a mole among us. These 2 situation has already been reported back. Letting them go or not won't make a difference. Zhuo Fan sighed. What a shocker. How could we forget? We still have a spy unaccounted for. Everyone looked around suspiciously. Zhuo Fan said, this isn't the time to draw him out. We'll do that once we get back to the safety of Dragon Cloud City. But a spy implies great danger. Xia Qianshang's face hardened. Zhuo Fan sneered, what danger? He'll only rat out our movements. As long as we're fast enough, any information will be worthless and they won't be able to act on it. On the contrary, if we suspect each other all the time, it will be a disaster only they will profit from. So get a move on. Reach the 3 exits on the double. The people were startled for a second, then their opinion of him grew. They never knew you could deal with a spy like that. Ignoring him yet moving faster than he could report would be the same as turning him useless. The way Zhuo Fan boldly did things got even the army experienced Luo Yunhai in a daze. Not even Dugu Zhantian led his army with such valor. Big Brother Zhuo is a true man of ambition to have so many great figures set their eyes on him. Set off. Let's see each other in Dragon Cloud City in 5 days. Zhuo Fan shouted, and the other replied in high spirits as well. Only Chu Qingqing and her 2 allies knew his true meaning. The nearest exit was a week away, while the farthest was 10 days. He was speaking for their own benefit to check the sending jade 5 days later. The 3 noticed Zhuo Fan's slight nod and smile. The group thus split into 3 divisions according to Zhuo Fan's orders. They moved swiftly, curious to see if they or the spy's leaks were faster. The forceful way Zhuo Fan dealt with the spy left the people fired up and eager for battle. Despite being a mere race to defeat the spy, to them it felt like they were battling against their greatest enemy and winning too. They started to get a feeling of holding everything beneath them, of indomitable spirit just like Zhuo Fan usually was. Everyone was united in their goal and hearts. Kai shouting took an ashen Sun Yufei away. As they passed Zhuo Fan, he asked, "Why let us go?" No reason. Maybe I'm showing kindness for taking care of Luo clan in the early days. Or maybe I wish to see your agony for my sick humor. But I will admit to this, when it comes to garbage, killing or throwing it away makes no difference. Zhuo Fan left as well, not minding them one bit. Kai shouting sighed and muttered, "Thank you." Then he slowly walked away with Sun Yufei. They had lost the hatred they clutched to so dearly, and it was now replaced by solitude. Recalling their derisory look when Zhuo Fan entered the Kai clan, it all seemed like a poor joke now. He was a true man of ambition and had brushed them off from the very start. It was them who kept having their goals growing higher and higher. The man had a clear vision of what he wanted, never changing, all while theirs did. He finally realized that 8 years ago when Zhuo Fan left Blackwind Mountain, he and his father were in awe of the man's talent, but never held him in respect. It came to him that even his father belittled Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan had such a talent lesser clansmen like them couldn't even begin to compare. Sighing, they slowly disappeared among the trees. "Big Brother Zhuo, you're not coming with us?" Xuaningxiang ran to him. Zhuo Fan shook his head, "There's something I must do. You and the Shui clan should go with Sword Marquis's abode. Xia Tianyang may be unreliable, but his brother is there to make it up for him. Few are his match except Huangpu Qingtian. You'll be safe." "Oi, what are you implying? Who are you calling unreliable? What did I ever do to you to badmouth me to Ninger?" Xia Tianyang was annoyed and grabbed Ninger's shoulder. "Ninger, don't worry. No one will hurt you with me around." But Xuaningxiang didn't even register his presence. Her eyes fixed on Zhuo Fan, her voice soft, "When will we see each other again?" "In 5 days. Zhuo Fan smiled. "That's a promise. You have to come see me in 5 days. Xuaningxiang held out her thunder ring. "You can't lie to me like you did in the All-Beast Mountain range." Smiling, Zhuo Fan took out his own thunder ring and let them touch as sparks flew. "I won't." Xuaningxiang smiled brightly, to the rancor and jealousy of Xie Tianyang. Xuaningxiang then dragged a stiff Xie Tianyang back to Sword Marquis Abode's division. Zhuo Fan shook his head and left in another direction as he heard Xie Tianyang's incessant begging. Ninger, let our rings touch as well. No. Why? I beg you. Zhuo Fan shook his head, then turned to the aged man following Luo clan. Grandmaster Lu, come with me. I need your help. Lu Yizhen jerked but got there on the doubles. The two flitted through the trees and were soon gone. Half a day later they stood atop a mountain peak. Regarding the breathtaking view, Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and felt so free, relaxed and soothed. Those dead weights are about to leave. I haven't felt so at ease in ages. Lu Yizhen smiled inside as he bowed. In the esoteric debate this century, the Three Houses Alliance hardly did anything. They could only hold on because of Grandmaster Zhuo's support, while they were holding you back. You couldn't be more right. Zhuo Fan cocked his head with a smile. Lu Yizhen probed, then Grandmaster Zhuo, what are your orders? Oh, no orders. I only want to know where Huangpu Qingtian is right now. Doesn't he have another brimming sacred pill? I should pay him a visit and receive it. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed coldly. Lu Yizhen felt a shiver crawl up his spine. Chapter 302 Tangled. Chapter 302 Tangled. Grandmaster Zhuo, I do not understand. How can I hope to see into Huangpu Qingtian's faction's movements? Swallowing dryly, Lu Yizhen froze, stammering and darting his eyes anywhere but Zhuo Fan. Grinning, Zhuo Fan shook his head. My dear Grandmaster Lu, you're saying that even now? How would you leak our info if you didn't know his position? His heart beating out of his chest, Lu Yizhen panicked as he explained, Grandmaster Zhuo, I don't understand what you... It's fine. You don't have to say it. I won't make it hard on you either. Just deliver a message for me and put that oh-so-great and stuck-up heaven-shaking dragon lord on the spot. Zhuo Fan brushed his panic off. Lu Yizhen's beard shook, his face haunting. Zhuo Fan's inscrutable smile unnerved him the more he saw it. Is he faking it or omniscient? This is disturbing. Zhuo Fan's laugh came as an answer to his thoughts. Grandmaster Lu, you should know by now of my character. If not by seeing, at least from rumors. I don't need to justify myself when I want to kill someone. I just do it. On the other hand, if I want one alive, regardless of how vile and deceitful that person is, I won't lay a finger on him. Anyway, I've had my suspicions on you from the start. I could have killed you whenever I wanted to. But I think it's safe to say my actions prove there will be no killing from my part. Coming out clean won't make much of a difference either at this point. Who doesn't yearn for glory and power? But didn't I let Kai Shouting walk free? Zhuo Fan's daunting eyes stared Lu Yizhen down. Lu Yizhen was in a quandary, but nodded in the end. Grandmaster Zhuo is sharp beyond any man. I admit, it was unwanted contriver Lung Wuchang who ordered me to get close to Grandmaster Zhuo. I do not know how he knew, but he found out you and I were once acquaintances. So he made me spy on you. I refused at first, but then... Fine, the reasons are pretty much typical for any spy. If not out of glory and power, then from a threat. I totally get it. Zhuo Fan's nonchalant wave cut him off. Lu Yizhen hung his head. Zhuo Fan is incredible. He knows everything. It was one thing to say power, glory or constraint, but how many could escape their clutches? Zhuo Fan stared at him. Now that that's out of the way, send a message to Huangpu Qingtian. What message? Lu Yizhen was stunned. Zhuo Fan's conduct was baffling. He just got a hold on the enemy's spy and he wasn't going to tear him asunder? And instead he was taking a step further, leaving the spy alive to send word to the enemy. It was as if they were on the same side. It totally floored the calm alchemist Lu Yizhen. I am. Zhuo Fan's straight face revealed a haughty air. Grandmaster Lu, when you see Huangpu Qingtian, this is how you'll behave. You'll curse him. Stupid head Huangpu pup, ignorant and trifling clown, yours truly has seen through it all. So tone down the drama and your petty tricks. I've been playing this game from before you were even born. Face twitching, Lu Yizhen sweated buckets. He ventured, Grandmaster Zhuo, could you perhaps maybe ease on the rancor? I won't be able to imitate you. Was this a joke? Zhuo Fan was having a blast here, cursing and wailing like he owned the place. But when the guy met Huangpu Qingtian face to face, was he going to stick to the real message? Not if he wanted to come out alive. Haha, fine as you wish. Just make sure he catches my drift. Zhuo Fan looked uncaring but his face turned deadly the next. However, this line you must say it word for word. His hand flashed and was now holding 4 brimming sacred pill vials. Lu Yizhen was slack-jawed. Zhuo Fan easily read his shock and smiled coldly. Tell him this. Huangpu Qingtian, you call yourself insidious and brilliant, but not even you would have imagined the last brimming sacred pill was with me all along. And you even laid out the stage to trap me? That's rich. Lu Yizhen blinked, counting the vials. It was clear as day there were 4, but the absurdity of it all made him second-guess it. He'd been next to Zhuo Fan all this time yet never knew where the guy got all the brimming sacred pills. So he always assumed Zhuo Fan only had the 3, yanked from Huangpu Qingtian's very hand too. That there never was a 4th. Is this another pill he robbed? Lu Yizhen showed his shock. Grandmaster Zhuo, if you already took Huangpu Qingtian's last pill, why make me a messenger? Shoo, Zhuo Fan put a finger on his lips. The last pill wasn't taken but slipped off of him. He's still oblivious. He knows what I can do, so telling him my message will make him understand. Make sure you get a clear view of his blind rage when he flips out and comes back to me. Blinking, Lu Yizhen sighed. They both knew Huangpu Qingtian was gruesome and yet Zhuo Fan swiped his pill without the slightest indication? Unreal. Zhuo Fan doesn't look to be lying either. He wants me to shame Huangpu Qingtian further with that message. By all accounts it didn't look fake at all. Zhuo Fan actually swiped the oblivious Huangpu Qingtian's brimming sacred pill from right under his nose. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yizhen's face hardened. Grandmaster Zhuo is incredible. There's nothing you can't do. I will pass on Grandmaster Zhuo's words, although the wording might not be as taunting. I get it. What matters is the essence. He will surely be pissed when he hears it. Zhuo Fan chortled. Lu Yizhen took 2 steps away before stopping. Grandmaster Zhuo, could you please clarify something for me? Shoo. Since when have you doubted me? Lu Yizhen asked. Grinning, Zhuo Fan said, from the moment I laid my eyes on you in Beast King Mountain. That fast. Lu Yizhen was stunned. He couldn't for the life of him see what gave him away. Zhuo Fan shook his head. 1. I never believe in coincidences. The esoteric debate is held on Beast King Mountain, yet it just so happened for you to be here looking for herbs? Highly unlikely. You must have got here thanks to Huangpu Qingtian's storage ring. 2. When I accepted you as a disciple, all you showed was respect and not joy. It was a complete contrast from how you reacted the first time you asked. I had my suspicions right then. And using apprenticeship as an excuse to help Luo clan sealed it. All combined made your purpose in getting close to Luo clan obvious. Lu Yizhen looked long at Zhuo Fan in shock. Sigh, I failed as a spy. You saw through me the moment we met. But why didn't you get rid of me then? To figure out Huangpu Qingtian's plans, of course. Zhuo Fan sneered. Each time you used the sending jade, I figured it was to leak our numbers, position and members. This gave me an easy time figuring out what Huangpu Qingtian was cooking, that he was aiming for those around me. Lu Yizhen's face twitched in shame. He not only failed as a spy, but was an utter disgrace. The info he sent was faulty and went as far as exposing his lord's master plan. Lu Yizhen's face was scorching. Grandmaster Zhuo, you truly are cunning. No wonder Leng Wuchang stepped in personally. Lu Yizhen flew away, leaving Zhuo Fan in shock. It was his first time hearing it, even considering that the mastermind wasn't Huangpu Qingtian, but Leng Wuchang. In such a case, I have to hurry up. Zhuo Fan flew after Lu Yizhen in the shadows. A day later, a light flew nearby. Zhuo Fan caught the sending jade, which wrote, the soldiers return, the Dragon King is at peace. Sure enough, the array map is a trap. Grinning, Zhuo Fan shot 3 sending jades to his 3 allies. He then looked at the one in his hand and praised, perfectly done. He resumed tailing Lu Yizhen. Letting Kai shouting off wasn't out of the goodness of his heart or, like he put it, out of indifference. But to use them engage Huangpu Qingtian's reaction. If Huangpu Qingtian raged, the 3 exits would be safe. If Huangpu Qingtian didn't blame the 2, then it all went according to the man's plan and he needed to change the routes of his 3 allies. This was all made possible thanks to the spy he meticulously placed near Huangpu Qingtian. Zhuo Fan wasn't beneath Leng Wuchang's capacity for treachery when it came to covert ops. While the factions looked subdued at a first glance, the darkness revealed a tangled mess. Chapter 303 Outplayed. Chapter 303 Outplayed. Elite Coder. Whoosh. Huangpu Qingtian and Lin Xianfeng were leading their men to the Earth exit when they spotted a light trailing the sky. A figure landed with a boom and Huangpu Qingtian frowned. Luizhen, what are you doing here? I thought I told you to stick to Zhuofan. Don't tell me. Bitter, Luizhen bowed. Eldest young master, I was exposed. What? Then how are you still alive? Huangpu Qingtian's brow pursed, his suspicion raised. A vile and insidious man like Zhuofan actually let go of not just Kai shouting but you as well? He just discovered and released 2 spies. What the hell is going on in that mind of his? Sighing, Luizhen's heart went cold. He could tell the 2 held no hopes for his return. They had thrown him away from the start. Who told him to climb aboard? He had no choice now but to go with them. Taking a deep breath, Luizhen bowed. Eldest young master, Zhuofan sent word for you. Speak. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes were grave. Luizhen mulled for a bit before. Zhuofan said your schemes are as clear as day and should not bother yourself with them. That's it? With his temper, that doesn't sound like him. Huangpu Qingtian mocked. Bowing again, Luizhen continued, eldest young master is right. But as his true words are crass and rude, unfitting for the eldest young master's ears, I altered their wording. The meaning is the same. Ha, are you afraid I'll take my anger out on you? Huangpu Qingtian read him like a book. It's fine anyway. I don't feel like listening either. It's ironic how he thinks himself all-knowing, surrounded as he is by a thick fog he can't even see. The 2 next to him were clueless, but Huangpu Qingtian's overconfidence deterred any questions. Then Luizhen turned nervous, bowing again. Eldest young master, Zhuofan has one more thing to say. I don't want to hear it. It must be some pointless boasting trying to throw me off my game. Let him sink into his delusions. Huangpu Qingtian brushed him off. Luizhen cupped his hands. Eldest young master, Zhuofan does intend to shame eldest young master, but I have to make this report. Ah? Huangpu Qingtian turned grave. Speak. Eldest young master, the 4th brimming sacred pill you are using to entice him has long since been in his hands. He was mocking you, saying how ignorant you were of it all. What? Lin Xianfeng cut in. Impossible, eldest young master had the 4th pill placed in my care from the start. How can it be with him? Young master Lin, I didn't believe it either, but then he showed me 4 vials. I had never seen them the entire time I was with his group. He also said that you all know what he can do. Luizhen trailed off. Huangpu Qingtian squinted, the seed of doubt planted. Lin Xianfeng was panicking. Did he steal it with that weird art of his? Lin Xuanfeng's hand flashed with the brimming sacred pill vial. Lin Xianfeng only then eased a breath. Ha, the punk is messing with us. We still have it. Huangpu Qingtian was too deep in thought to care. Then his face changed. Fool, don't take it out. Lin Xianfeng froze for a second. Enough time for the vial to vanish. Zhuofan. Lin Xianfeng stammered. Not far off, Zhuofan's cackle came from among the trees. Ha ha, thanks a bunch, young master Huangpu. I shall accept your generosity. Lin Xianfeng blinked, still frozen on the spot. Luizhen was still out of it from shock. Zhuofan has been behind me all this time? Huangpu Qingtian held his head and sighed. Morons, the lot of you. This was the plan, to draw out Zhuofan, and he had no idea where I hid the brimming sacred pill. Then you guys just handed it over on a silver platter. What were you expecting? Lin Xuanfeng's eyes widened and threw his rage on Luizhen. Traitor. You now collude with Zhuofan? I'll kill you. Young Master Lin, I am just the messenger. I don't know anything. Luizhen was scared out of his mind. He was under the false impression that Zhuofan sent him on a mere errand to make Huangpu Qingtian look bad with his message. Who even conceived it possible that there was a scheme involved? The worst part was that he made the old man a scapegoat. With the 2 before him pissed since they couldn't grab Zhuofan, who else were they going to take their anger out on? Not even washing in the underworld river would absolve him. He began as a spy for Huangpu Qingtian's faction, only to end up dying at his hands. He was dubbed a double agent no one would take pity on. Quite fitting for a spy and ironic. He had now witnessed Zhuofan's capacity for savagery and cruelty. There was no getting out scot-free from him. With the double agent blame smacked on his shoulders, the insidiousness of the ploy finally dawned on him. Huangpu Qingtian signaled Lin Xianfeng, stop, it's not his fault. He was also used. Eldest young master is brilliant. Luizhen bowed and wiped his brow. Huangpu Qingtian gave him no attention and turned to the forest. Since you came, why don't you come over for a talk? Haha, what's there to talk about? But since you insist, I'll meet you. I want to see with my own eyes the scowling and miserable face of a loser. Zhuo Fan walked from among the trees with a smile. The rest of the men there paled and tensed. Soaring demonic dragon was just as notorious as Huangpu Qingtian. Your men sure look terrified of me, Zhuo Fan mocked. Huangpu Qingtian smiled coldly, not angered at all. Zhuo Fan, there's a saying which fits you perfectly right now. Stop showing off or you'll be struck down by lightning. Haha, I've been doing it since I was born, but no lightning has touched me so far. Though it makes me wonder what would it feel like. It must be quite the thrill. Zhuo Fan laughed. Shaking his head, Huangpu Qingtian grinned. You will soon find out. Squinting, Zhuo Fan stared into Huangpu Qingtian's eyes with unease. By the way, Zhuo Fan, the vial you used to fool the old man must be the one you found at some point but never took it out. So when old Lu saw 4 vials, he jumped to conclusions. He would never dare lie to me otherwise. Huangpu Qingtian's lips twisted into a smile. Zhuo Fan rose an eyebrow. Look at you, young Master Huangpu. You're not as dumb as other muscle brain fools around you. Haha, I am destined to be king. How can I be a fool? But to be entirely honest, it's not easy to see through it in an instant. I realize the truth because of something that is happening right now. Huangpu Qingtian snickered. Zhuo Fan, don't you have the 2 keys for the water exit yet? Keep them to yourself? Zhuo Fan cried out. How did you, don't tell me? Correct. I sent my men to place them on your way when you were with Luo Yunhai's group. I didn't doubt for a second you'll miss them. So when Lu Yizhen reported you not mentioning them when you met up with Chu Qingqing, it made me realize you were planning on using them when it mattered most. You once said we're both the same, that we won't show our hands so easily. Ah, a shame I already know of 2 of your cards. Shuddering, Zhuo Fan showed fear for the first time. His mind put 2 and 2 together and his brow was soaked. Huangpu Qingtian's heart burst with joy at his expense. Sir Lung said the pinnacle of the art of war is to make the most of a situation. Not just get the enemy to fall for your traps, but to control their every move, to guide them where you want it. Zhuo Fan, from the moment you met with Luo Yunhai, your actions, your objectives, have all gone according to my plan. Including those fights we had. Although your fancy art gives me headaches, letting you win every time was all part of my plan. Also, you would become the de facto leader of the alliance. It was the best way to ensure you will follow the road to hell I painstakingly paved for you. What, don't tell me you haven't wondered how smooth your journey has been so far. You really think highly of yourself, able to face thousands of men and save everyone from the jaws of death? Humph, you lost all because of your arrogance. Case in point, the Killing Blood Marsh skirmish. Did you ever think about why I didn't unleash all my power? You thought I was too cocky, thinking I had you all like fish in a barrel, so I was going to take pleasure in toying with you? Haha, I threw the match. Zhuo Fan shivered, recoiling 3 steps, then shooting into the air after the 3 teams. I have completely lost. Zhuo Fan shouted in his mind. Never had he been so out of control as he was now. Huangpu Qingtian's side was having a blast, however, cackling arrogantly. Zhuo Fan was finally beaten back. Chapter 304, Deeper into the Mud. Chapter 304, Deeper into the Mud. Elite Coder. Lin Xuanfeng's eyes trailed Zhuo Fan as he vanished in the distance. This is the first time I have seen that punk so out of it. What on earth happened? Haha, nothing much, just him sending his own friends to an early grave. Huangpu Qingtian had a vague smile. He then turned to pat Lu Yizhen's shoulder. Old Lu, well done. Just as I expected. Eldest young master, I don't deserve it. I've been found out since the start, ugh. He didn't finish as Huangpu Qingtian squeezed his throat with a thin smile. No, old Lu, you don't have to be modest. You did great. Huangpu Qingtian smiled, but his hand only clutched harder. The smile looked downright sinister at this point, instilling dread in the puzzled old man. How had he erred? Why had Huangpu Qingtian stopped Lin Shenfeng from killing him, yet was now doing it himself? Eyes bulging, Lu Yizhen could only let out hoarse sounds. Lu Yizhen was just as perplexed as the victim. Eldest young master, what? Haha, I stopped you only because Zhuo Fan was nearby. I didn't want to put on a show for him. But now this old geezer has outlived his purpose. It wouldn't do if he fell into Dugu Zhantian's hands. Killing him here will spare me the trouble. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes glinted and the vile snicker on his face grew. He put just a touch more force in his grip and the body shuddered for a moment, then Lu Yizhen's limbs went limp. Flinging the corpse away, Huangpu Qingtian clapped. Lin Xianfeng gasped, his mind overwhelmed. Huangpu Qingtian is a beast to dispose of those he no longer has use of. He has not a shred of conscience. Will I end up the same? Huangpu Qingtian knew this was coming, so he patted his shoulder, making him shiver. Worry not. Even if a cripple, you're the next in line to lead Merry Woods. You're so much more valuable. As long as you are by my side, I will do you no harm. Lu Xuanfeng's face twitched. He gave a hollow laugh while wiping his brow. Looking at Lu Yizhen's body again, he sighed inside. Who is to say it won't change? But then Lu Xianfeng brightened. Eldest young master, since you could bring Lu Yizhen, why didn't you do the same for the elders of our houses? Finishing off Zhuo Fan then would have been so much easier. Fool, you take Dugu Zhantian in charge of Dragon Cloud City's defenses for a prop? Huangpu Qingtian snorted. I only managed to bring him after treating him like a spirit animal, placing him in my storage ring. It is because of his insignificance that he went unnoticed. If it were an elder from the 7 houses instead, it would send an alarm to Dugu Zhantian and get us observed. If not for our low numbers keeping it under wraps, our plan would have fallen through. Lin Xianfeng bobbed his head, accepting the tongue lashing while not forgetting to polish Huangpu Qingtian's rear with endless flattery. Huangpu Qingtian waved him off. We're setting out for the Earth exit at once. Is there a point going there now that Zhuo Fan knows our plan? Lin Xianfeng was bewildered. Huangpu Qingtian's snide reply came, Idiot, we're going so that he'd walk right into our ambush. All the traps are in place. Despite knowing that, he has no way to foil them. Not when he had a hand in making it possible. That heart-rending regret, the gnawing guilt, must be quite the torment, ha. Huangpu Qingtian cackled evilly. Lin Xianfeng still didn't get it, but did as was told. In another place, Xie Qianshang's team had been heading for the metal exit for 3 days now when a sudden light flew over. Xie Qianshang caught it, knowing to be Zhuo Fan sending jade that said, Now you can look at the jade slip. Xie Qianshang was quite puzzled. Wasn't I supposed to do that after 5 days? Why so early? But since Zhuo Fan said so, he of course obliged. 5 simple words entered his eyes, head for the water exit. What? Xie Qianshang was floored. What does that mean? Change course on the spot? What? Is the metal exit dangerous? Xie Qianshang shouted without delay, Hold! We're changing directions. Follow me. Xie Tianyang pulled Xuaningxiang to the front among the baffled stares. Brother, what's up? We've been running for 3 goddamn days and you suddenly want to change course? Is it an enemy attack? No. Xie Qianshang shook his head, giving him the jade slip. This is the jade slip Zhuo Fan gave me before we split, saying to inspect it 5 days later. But I just received word from him to look at it now. And it said. Xie Tianyang looked at the jade. Head to the water exit? What the hell? I don't know either. But since Zhuo Fan said so, he must have his reasons. Xie Qianshang's eyes were firm. Xie Tianyang shook his head. Brother, since when did you become a fan? What if he's wrong? How many times was he wrong in the past days he was with us? We hardly ever suffered any setbacks as well. While in a situation I cannot fathom, listening to his judgment is a sound decision. Xie Qianshang's mind was set. Xuaningxiang spoke first before Xie Tianyang could. Brother Tianyang, has Big Brother Zhuo ever been wrong? Listen to him. Don't you recall the All-Beast Mountain Range? Didn't he fall for you geekies' ploys time and time again? But with no you geeky around, Big Brother Zhuo is the strongest, right? Xuaningxiang was zealously defending Zhuo Fan's honor. Xie Qianyang's mouth twitched, feeling his heart ache. And since he could do nothing to Ninger, he could only compromise. And so, led by Xie Qianshang, the Sword Marquis's abode team turned towards the water exit. Chu Qingqing and Long Xingyun's team received Zhuo Fan's message as well and were heading in the same direction. None knew however of the 10,000-strong army waiting for them there led by Yan Bangyi and Yu Yushan. On top of a majestic mountain, Yu Yushan looked on in the distance but didn't spot anyone. He took out his jade slip and sighed, Oh Poisoner, what's your take on eldest young master's action? Giving us a jade slip to open a day later, only to have our course changed to the water exit and set an ambush here. Why didn't he say so from the start? Why make us waste so much time first going to the fire and metal exits? He was afraid of having the info leaked. Yan Bangyi's grim face shuddered in fear. Yu Yushan raised an eyebrow. Does that mean there's a spy among us? Ah, you crack me up. Any spies will be on their side. Is there any lesser clan out there willing to offend Regent by becoming a spy? Not to mention the dozens of vassals on their side willing to lean on the Regent estate, giving us their movements of their own accord. Be that as it may, it never hurts to be on the safe side. Especially at such a crucial moment in our plan. Yen Bongi muttered, as this is Sir Lung's ploy, we only need to follow it. Yu Yushan nodded as well. The two saw Lung Wuchang's mind infallible, his plans perfect. All they had to do was just do what he said. Senior brother, young Master Yu, the third great array below is set. Yen Fu bowed in respect before the two. Nodding, Yen Bongi waved him off. Junior brother, you worked hard. Withdraw. Thank you. Yen Fu bowed and left. Yu Yushan mocked the retreating figure. The kid has been quite meek as of late. Not even a hint of dissatisfaction on his face either. Well, he is a rare genius alchemist Pill King Hall raised after all. Haha, ever since Zhuo Fan killed vicious Pill King he lost all support. He must have finally accepted his fate to turn so quiet. Those two only ever looked at others from their high horse. Even you? Yu Yushan raised an eyebrow. They traded a glance then jeered. The mockery from above slammed into Yen Fu's ears. His fists clenched and his eyes glinted with savagery. One day you'll get what you deserve and I'll be there to watch you die. In the meantime, Zhuo Fan was rushing towards the water exit. With no time to notify the teams, he could only hope he'd make it in time to rescue them. His mind kept drifting to the worst-case scenarios, making him clench his jaw and plagued him with worry. He told them to go for the water exit and was sure they would follow it. This was what made it ever worse, riddled with guilt, and yet in complete awe of the mastermind behind it all. To be seen through so thoroughly that even implicated his allies in this trap, he felt toyed like how a cat did to a mouse. The mastermind was no ordinary man to make even the great Zhuo Fan fall for his schemes. This man's schemes were on a whole another level from Yugiki's. Unwanted contriver, Lung Wuchang. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth in rage. He had already guessed the true architect behind all this framing. It was not that arrogant prick, Huangpu Qingtian, but Regent Estate's steward, the second greatest mind of the Tianyu Empire, Lung Wuchang. Revenge was out of his sight for now. All he could do was to try everything in pulling through this desperate situation. Then Zhuo Fan sensed a bone-chilling air as he passed. Looking below, he found a clear pond releasing cold air from its center. 1,000-year-old frigid pond. Eyes squinting, Zhuo Fan dived. Chapter 305 Ambushed. Chapter 305 Ambush. Elite Coder. Before the Water National Elemental Stone, on Dragon Cloud City's side, everyone had gathered close to observe the show as it unfolded. Since 3 days ago the audience saw Yen Bongi and Yu Yushan leading 10,000 men over. Some speculated that the two had found the keys to the water exit and were about to return. In time, it became clear that they had no such intention. Instead of getting closer, they were setting up an array nearby, clearly an ambush. Yet for 3 days all was quiet. The audience was observing unnerved, especially Grandmother and Long Yifei's group. All the preparations were clearly meant for Chu Qingqing and company. But were they going to fall for it that easily? Noon knew what was happening on Beast King Mountain, adding to their worries, their frowns never leaving their faces. They prayed with all their heart for their successors to not fall for it. Regent Estate's side was smiling. Estate Lord, eldest young master has entered the final phase of the plan. Lung Wuchang stroked his beard. His eyes shined and his mouth perked up in a proud smile. Huangpu Tianyuan nodded. Sir Lung's mind is brilliant. I have no doubt you can purge that evil this time. As long as Sir Lung intervenes, not even that demon can escape. You're too kind, Estate Lord. I may have presented eldest young master with the plan, but it was his remarkable wits that led it to fruition. I do not dare take all the credit. Lung Wuchang faked modesty. With an odd smile, Huangpu Tianyuan said, No, Sir Lung. This is all thanks to you. If it were you leading the operation, it would have been finished much sooner. Lung Wuchang looked at him deeply and nodded. He knew of Huangpu Tianyuan's dissatisfaction for his son, scared the young master earned enough merit to depose him. So he'd rather let Lung Wuchang take all the credit, all to undermine Huangpu Qingtian's achievements. Such is the Regent Estate, where father and son are fighting tooth and nail in pursuit of power. Lung Wuchang shook his head as he mocked them. Sir Lung, are you sure 10,000 men are enough to deal with Zhuo Fan? A smiling voice drifted over. Lung Wuchang turned to see Zhuge Changfeng flanked by his elders coming over with a crafty smile. Eyes flashing, Lung Wuchang shook his head. My meager skill is only good for entertainment. I wouldn't dare boast before the great Prime Minister. As for this ambush, it isn't to deal with Zhuo Fan. Oh? Zhuge Changfeng raised an eyebrow, but then he said after a moment of pondering, first deal with the horse then the rider, right? Prime Minister Zhuge is truly wise. Lung Wuchang nodded. You know the saying, those whom God wishes to destroy, he first makes them mad. Zhuo Fan is not only powerful, he has many odd tricks up his sleeve. And let's not forget his devious mind and penchant for schemes. If we do not rob him of his reason, not even a foolproof plan conceived by us two together would work. By the sound of it, Sir Lung has already found his weakness. Or you wouldn't be so open with your designs. Raising his eyebrows, Zhuge Changfeng smiled. Who is it then? Luo Yunhai or? Lung Wuchang shook his head, his wording vague. Prime Minister Zhuge, you will know soon enough. I believe not even Sir would conceive it possible who his fatal weakness was. Zhuge Changfeng's reply, Ha, Sir Lung, you're even holding me in suspense. Very well, I'll just have to see for myself then, how that demon loses his mind. Lung Wuchang smiled back at the Water National Elemental Stone. At this time a group appeared on the big screen. Grandmother and Long Yifi froze at the sight of them. Their hearts tensed and cold sweat filled their fists. They wished nothing more than to shout at them to warn them of their demise. A darn shame the teleportation array was one way only. Their warnings would fall on deaf ears. While Lung Wuchang and Huangpu Tianyuan showed a snicker, they're finally here. Two teams were clearly distinguished, Sword Marquis abodes and Veiled Dragon pavilions. They were far quicker than Chu Qingqing and even met along the way. Just what was Zhuo Fan thinking when sending us here? We're clearly wasting time wandering all over the place. Xie Tianyang was holding a leaf in his mouth, brushing away a bush while complaining of boredom. Long Xingyun laughed. Second young Master Xie, ever heard of thing lies in truth and truth in lies used in the art of war? To deceive one's enemy you must deceive your allies. Those 3 exits were nothing more than a lure for the enemy, while we changed our course midway towards our real purpose. Yeah, Brother Tianyang, you need to learn from Big Brother Zhuo. Even he knows more than you about what's going on. Xuening Xiang jumped in, pointing at Long Xingyun while calling out Xie Tianyang's flaws. Xie Tianyang sneered in silence, while his heart bled from anger. You're saying as if Zhuo Fan's every word is the unblemished truth. Long Xingyun nodded first, then his face twitched. The lass sure has a mouth on her. What do you mean by an even he knows? Are you saying I'm usually an ignorant Philistine? Do I look that stupid to you? Then a cry broke their ceaseless argument. Long Kuei shouted as she pointed at the shining water crystal, there's the water exit. The map is real. The others perked up thrilled at the prospect and rushed over. Haha, the water exit is here. Brother Zhuo was right all along. Long Xingyun laughed, running as well. Xie Tianyang mocked though, why are you so chipper? We don't have the key, do we? Dunce, since Brother Zhuo told us to come here in particular, he must have gotten the keys without even us realizing it. Long Xingyun was over the moon, so much so he forgot who just spoke and cursed back. Xie Tianyang was annoyed but didn't let it show. Xuening Xiang, the picture of ignorance, fanned the flames. Yeah, dunce. Do you have rocks for brains? You think Big Brother Zhuo would have us come here on a whim? The speaker was clueless to the damage, while the listener found the words intentional to spite him. Xie Tianyang's flames of rage burned hotter than lava. His fists clenched, his teeth grinded. Why does everyone look up to Zhuo Fan and always take me down a peg? He didn't much care about the rest, but even Ninger, the one he cared the most about, did it. He just couldn't accept it. A seed of hatred was planted in his heart, towards his brother who he went though life and death once. A change no one there noticed. Before the Water National Elemental Stone, Grandmother's group was so keyed up, their hearts practically flat-lined as they prayed, don't come any closer. It's a trap. The utter powerlessness they felt watching their clansmen walk into the jaws of death was so strong she felt like her heart was being stabbed over and over, one step at a time. Lung Wuchang and Huangpu Tianyuan watched them getting closer and the grins turned sinister. It soon turned into joy at the expectancy for bloodshed that followed upon noticing a dainty figure among them. All around the water exit, Yen Bangyi and Yu Yushan's forces laid in wait. Once the two noticed the carefree figure among their prey, they signaled, "Our target's here." They both shouted in unison. Then a glow started rising from beneath everyone's feet. 36 light pylons shot for the skies, trapping them all. At the same time, each of the pylon beams was shown to be housing a person. As the scenery began changing, the water exit vanished, soon replaced by bloody skies and blood-tainted air. They seemed to have found themselves in another world. Not Beast King Mountain of Tianyu Empire, it was such an odd place they may not even be in the Martial Emperor continent. A 36-man array? Long Xingyun cried, "Damn it! We've been trapped." It was clear as day to all. This was not an array controlled by a single man, but by 36 people. Such a meticulous array needed ample time to be set in motion. In other words, this was a well-thought-out ambush, so much so it began well before they even rushed here. But how? Zhuo Fan told them to come here. Why would he lead them into a trap? None could accept what was before them and chose to deny reality. But the facts were laid bare for everyone. Zhuo Fan had sent them to hell. Give them no quarter. A shout unleashed a flood of 10,000 men coming at them from all directions. They were so panicked they couldn't tell where the enemy was coming from, thinking of nothing else than of escape. But trapped as they were, with all sides painted red, they had no way to distinguish the exit. Add to that the constant roars of the enemy, the fear gnawed at any semblance of reason they had left, waiting to be culled, that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.